everybody to the second season of the NGE Shadowverse Open. We are on the second week of qualifiers for North America today. I'm Rainy. I'm going to be your host today. And joining me is Envy Bear. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great.
And of course, Exodium as well. How are you on this fine day?
It's a great day, Rainy. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Now, Exodium, you weren't here yesterday for the European qualifiers. Envy was, but joining us for the North American qualifiers, I'm super excited to have you on the desk and talking about some of the games here. But before we get to all of that, let's talk a little bit about the format of the tournament and see what these players can expect. So we are looking for the top 12 players to the qualifiers, so 3 of them are going to make it into this top 12. They are going to be divided into 2 groups, Group A and Group B. That's 6 players each, and they will play a round robin. So every player is going to play every other player in the group. And at the end of it all, we're going to take the top 3 from Group A and Group B and put them into a double elimination playoffs bracket, and they will be seeded based on their performance in the round robin. These guys are playing for $16,000 per region. So Europe is going to play for $16,000 in North America as well, as I struggle with my words. But the reason why Europe is going to qualify 4 and North America is only qualifying 3 is we actually have some players from Season 1 auto-invited to the round robin. Let's take a look at the qualified players and see who those guys are. Manasurge's Jay-Z, who was the first place finisher in the Season 1 playoffs. And of course, Manasurge Noah actually taking Exodium's very spot because Exodium is casting for us. He can't compete, so Noah was the next highest ranked player on the playoffs. And then Lest was the Season 1 MVP with the most points. And of course, from last week's qualifier, we have Shadow Nexus's Care, and then Doc Hack, and then CPV Boltals. So, lots of players already making it in. We already have half of our top 12, and we're looking for 6 more. So this week is going to produce 3, and next week are going to give us our final 3. Now, we're going to take a look at what these guys are playing for other than the spots in the top 12. Let's take a look at what is up for grabs. First place, 30,000 vaza. We are awarding all the way down to 16th place this season. So 10,000 vials for second. Third, fourth get 4,000. Fifth, 8th gets 3.5k. And of course, 9th through 16th get 1.5k. So lots to win, lots to have. I want to ask you a question, Envy. What was the highlight for the European qualifiers for you yesterday? And do you think we'll see some of that in North America?
My highlight was probably Dragon coming back from 1 and then winning. And I don't know, it was just a great game. I don't know if it's going to happen in NA. Probably not.
You think North America's not? Now, Exodium, as the second place finisher in the North American region, I know that there are a few players that you're watching out for, and actually a lot of them were the invited players just based on their performance and whatnot. I know that you have your teammate Shadow Nexus Care Package, I believe is his full ID. Are there other Shadow Nexus members that you would expect to see kind of moving far in this particular qualifier here, or are really looking to get into the season?
Absolutely. So I think Kadeemer has a real shot. We saw him last season. Limits is another good player from our team. Unlucker, obviously, you guys know Unlucker. He's definitely a force. Sleet, Timmy. We've got a good roster this year, so.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Let's take a look at some of the information about how you guys can participate if you want to do so. If you guys want to know what all the tournament schedules and broadcasts are like, or you want to play in week 3 of the qualifiers, make sure to go to shadowverse.nge.io. Has all the information there, and as the season plays out, there's more stuff that you're going to be able to read. Lots of content going to happen on that website, and so definitely check it out if you guys want to talk about anything Shadowverse related, anything Shadowverse Open related, I think commentary related. Do you think that Exodium is a better commentator than Aya Senpai? Or do you think Exodium without his hat looks better than with his hat? Let us know. And also make sure to add the hashtag NSVO and tweet us who you want to win. And we'd love to talk about that. We'd love to kind of read your thoughts and kind of figure all that out. I don't know if Exodium has any opinions. I think it's a very rare sight that you are without your hat. Do you feel comfortable? Are you okay?
I'm perfectly comfortable. Most of the time I'm with my hat. It's just for the stream. But, today a little bit more professional. That's all.
I almost want you to arrive next week with a very bombastic hat just to counteract the lack of hat today.
Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me. I'll bring a crazy hat next week, okay?
Let's make it happen. I think if enough people in Twitch chat go crazy, I think we'll do it. But that being said, we have our first match coming up now. Some of the bracket is not filled out yet, but I believe our first match is going to be Trickster versus Spray Quaza. And Trickster has in his pocket, he's brought Shadowcraft, Bloodcraft, and Havencraft. Now, these obviously very popular yesterday, and as we had mentioned a little bit, Envy was here when we were talking about it, but it really seems like we're doing the 3-deck 1-ban format here, right? And even with Blood banned out, I actually think more so than ever before, we're seeing actually a very wide variety of decks. I think we saw every single craft except Forest represented yesterday. I believe that is the statistic. Spray Quaza as the opponent is running Shadow, Blood, Dragon. Now, what do you guys feel like? I'm going to just assume that Bloodcraft is banned, maybe beginning with Envy. What do you guys feel like this dynamic between taking Shadow and Haven and Shadow and Dragon are like? What is that matchup going to play out like?
I think it's no like big surprise that Shadow, Blood, and I think honestly Haven a bit more than Dragon are like our three sort of best. I honestly think we'll see some more Haven bans today. It was really popular yesterday, and I think people are a little more tired of it today. So I think we'll see some Haven bans.
You know, that actually reminds me, Exodium, before you do your thing. Now, we missed it yesterday because of all the excitement, but ever since Season 1, we had this sheet. This particular special page. But yesterday was a very special day. EXG Sheepy actually defeated his opponent, Praetorium, in the finals to take the tournament win. And you know what that means, guys? Havencraft is no longer cursed. So, unfortunately, this page has to go. And I think the next time Aya Senpai is on the broadcast, there will be a new one. But now, for your guys' viewing pleasure, and I hope that my nerd body can handle ripping this piece of page off this notebook, but it's gonna happen.
Don't tear it. Oh, come on. You could have framed that.
Havencraft is not cursed anymore. It's not cursed, so Havencraft, out of there.
Well, in there. It's not. It's in there now.
I actually almost hit Mimi, poor Mimi. But Havencraft is no longer cursed. It actually took a tournament win, so we've done it, and now Havencraft is one of the most popular decks. And Exodium, talk to me about what you feel like is a current struggling archetype now in the Wonderland Dreams meta.
Forest more than most. Forest doesn't really have a game plan in this new set, where the other sets really got something. And Dragon is pretty much the same as it was, so I think Dragon is also struggling.
How do you feel about that, Envy?
I agree completely. Yeah, Dragon didn't really get... I think we saw maybe one new Dragon card yesterday. It's the 2-mana 1/2 that searches for stuff. A random Dragoncraft card. And it's like, they didn't get anything from this expansion. I agree completely.
Alright, well, that's very interesting thoughts being shared. And of course, we can, take some time the next time we have some moments on the desk to talk about some of the announced changes that are going to happen directly after this tournament, actually. But as it stands, we have Spray Quaza running Dragoncraft against Shadowcraft from Trickster. Exodium, talk to me about the starting mulligan here for Trickster.
Absolutely. So Trickster actually has a great curve, especially against Dragon, with the Attendant of Night into the Erd play, into the Surd play. So his opener is about as best as it, or as good as it can get in this matchup. Envy, what do you think about this?
That is for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better. So
unfortunately, we can't see Spray Quaza's hand, but
it's all right.
Ramp Dragon usually plays around the same stuff. We can kind of guess his hand's probably got some ramp, probably a Sybil in there somewhere, and then some end game. But
yep, that's generally the MO of the Dragoncraft player, and unfortunately, the Spectre client is having a little bit of issues, but we should have it back in no time. Until then, we're just going to have to play from the perspective of Trickster right now, which honestly can be a little more interesting sometimes. The suspense.
Yes. So the addition of Tina in Spray Quaza's deck is really nice. This board, not really well suited for it, other than the fact that can get the Ayala trade right now, which is good.
I actually do like that play too, as well. The quote-unquote more obvious play would be to snipe the Erd, killing it in one hit, but you don't kill the Isla off that way. And ramping to 6 is a lot better than ramping to nothing. So,
Absolutely.
It's very true. And in this scenario, when the Dragoncraft sets up this situation for themselves, that means on their next turn they can play the Sybil and get the heal if they need it, which
Yes.
I think he will, since he's just taken 3.
You always need the heal from Sybil. And
it's
that's
basically a full
exactly
health,
what
but
we want to see.
yeah, he's got it for sure. They always have it. Ooh.
Oh.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
0 for 1!
Maybe he doesn't.
Did you see, Exodium, Envy's record yesterday on kind of predicting plays and kind of getting the situation right was incredible. But I think today the power is not with her, so we'll keep a new record of that, Envy. I'm holding you accountable to your predictions.
That's fine.
So
That's okay.
We see the Dragon player not actually ramping as much. Spray Quaza not ramping as much as you would like to see Dragon ramp. So Trickster's in a really good spot here. Has an easy removal for the Grimnir. And has the next couple turns set up as far as dealing with high value followers such as Sybil with the Lurching Corpse and Zombie Party and the Soul Conversion for the Lurching Corpse, all that stuff. So he's actually pretty well set up here. And now just drawing the Ektar. So great position.
He's definitely got a few plays for the next couple turns, but Dragon is one of those factions where if they get to 10 mana and just keep top decking, 10 mana cards before you're at that, then sometimes it just overruns you. But like you said, he didn't really ramp at all this game, so they're just even at this point.
Yep, they're even, which is right where Shadow wants to be. And he gets to flood the board this turn, which is really nice to set up for Ektar. And realistically, if we don't see something like an Ouroboros out of Spray Quaza's hand, this might get a little dicey for him.
This is looking pretty bad. Sockwill Israfil would be an okay-ish answer if the Lurching Corpse and the Goblin Mage also come down, but it's not amazing.
It's not. And also a chance to lose the Israfil, if that is the play.
Yeah, exactly.
Really kind of locking Spray Quaza out of a few options here, and kind of classically one of the things about Shadowcraft that was talked about in Tempest of the Gods too, despite the fact that Lightning Blast dominated the early part of the meta, so it wasn't really that popular, but effects like Lurching Corpse and Kawi were actually very effective against Dragoncraft, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. Lurching Corpse and Kawi in particular, actually, both just completely destroy the I'm just going to get the 10 and play Bahamut plan, since they kill it in reaction. And Kawi just full heals you if it does, so.
Yeah, Kawi healing for 13 feels really good. It feels really good.
Yeah.
100%.
It's pretty nice.
So now what we're going to see with this matchup is because Spray Quaza does have Ouroboros, it's going to be this really hard-fought battle for Shadow to be able to deal damage while also fighting through the heal that Ouroboros provides. So it really depends if he can keep Ouroboros off the table and still push enough damage to end the game.
Realistically, if he's able to keep this whole board, there's a pretty good card next turn. Never mind.
Yeah. There goes that plan.
Whoever thought, Conflagration was actually very interesting. I know a lot of people were talking about, oh my god, 7 play points is so much, but in the context of Ramp Dragon, it's definitely very viable to use, and it seems like there's so many situations, it just feels so good when you use it. It's kind of like, I guess I would put it does enough damage to make it most of the time feel like almost a Themis' Decree on Dragoncraft.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes. There's also the fact that in this latest expansion, all the neutral cards got their stats bumped up, so you kind of just have to play spells that just do more damage, like regardless of the mana.
Wait a minute, do I see the Black
You do.
Swan?
Yeah, you do.
You do see the Black Swan.
Is that
That's a
real?
swan.
Tell me about that.
So that's more for the mirror matchup. The deal too, like the Dark Johns, the Odiles, all that stuff, is really because Shadow has shown a lot of prominence in the tournaments. And that's why you see it. It's not really that great against other matchups unless neutral sets up a board post-Evos that they can't really pump or post-Alice, that kind of thing. It's not a super popular card, but it does have its
Don't let
place.
the light blind you.
Oh. The mini Lucifer.
That's right. Very mini.
Not quite anywhere near as good.
Yeah, not quite Lucifer. Doesn't gain the health either. So, Spray Quaza finding a really nice time to get that Lurching Corpse off the table just to dominate the board.
And he is actually whittling down Trickster's resources here. Trickster's, you know, he had that soul conversion, but now he doesn't have anything. He's gonna eat 8 to the face if he doesn't play Lurching Corpse or Necro Assassin here.
Yep, this is about time where you need to see a flood of Attentive Knights and Bone Chimeras to like try to assert board while also trying to deal damage, and because there's only one Bone Chimera, it's going to be very hard for Trickster to close this game out.
If he does opt to go for the Yggdra play this turn too, he opens himself wide up to Bahamut just blowing the game out, so...
At this point, it's realistically just Trickster trying to survive until he finds some kind of a board presence.
Removes
and
the
Ektar needs to
Ouroboros.
be saved for Bahamut, probably.
Yep. Actually, it's probably a good time to bring up one of the changes. Ouroboros, after this tournament, will not provide the healing anymore, which, let's talk about that in context of this game right now. Would it really change very much? I mean, Dragoncraft certainly has healed up a lot, but I think it's hard for Shadow to set up any kind of aggression in the first place. How do you guys feel about that?
Right. Well,
So, the Ouroboros
so
change
far-
is going to completely flip the matchup. Like, 100%
Yeah.
flip the matchup.
Yeah. I also just want to, like, Ouroboros so far has healed for 9. I think it's died
Right.
3 times. It may have died 4 times. But, if you just took, like, 9 or 12 off of Spray Quaza's health, this looks all of a sudden completely opposite.
Way
As far as
more
the advantage
manageable.
goes.
It also allows for Phantom Howl to be a nice little endgame package for Shadow just to beat up on Dragon. Because realistically,
Exactly,
the
yeah.
biggest tool Dragon has is Ouroboros' life gain and board control, and once that life gain's gone, Shadow's going to be able to push right through Dragon a lot easier.
The only heals they'll have left will be Fervor, and there's the Bahamut. Fervor and Sybil, which, you know, are still good, but cutting 3 heals out of the deck is pretty powerful.
Right. And as long as the Saha Quill package stays away from Dragon, those Israfels aren't going to be there to gain life either. So it really just depends on how the meta shapes up and what Dragon can play to gain life.
Do you think the read, seeing as Spray Quaza was very willing to throw the Bahamut there and have it get eliminated, is that there's another Bahamut in hand?
At least a Bahamut or a Grimnir or something. I don't think you just throw that out there without having another board clear.
I think it's possible. He did get the 3rd Lurching Corpse, though. He does know that's the last one. So he wiped enough of the board and also got the last one. So I think it's possible he has another one. I mean, he's dragging with a lot of cards in hand, but I think it's likely that he didn't. Or at least possible that he didn't.
Either way, the Ouroboros is all he really needs at this point. Just keep playing it
Yeah.
until his opponent runs out of resources, and then that'll be that. It might take a little while, because Shadow definitely has tons of ways to deal with units.
Well, I think, at least looking at the current hand, it does seem like Trickster is in trouble. You're swinging away for 1. Meanwhile, Ouroboros is going to chew out 8 points of health this turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if we see something like a Grimnir or any other big board removal, Conflag after the Oro swing, something like that.
Grimnir would blow this game right out. I think at this point, Trickster just needs to draw a... There's the Grimnir. Trickster needs
Yeah.
to draw, Path to Purgatory by now. Or,
Right.
or Death Day Time.
Exactly. Path to Purgatory would dominate this game without a Bahamut. Absolutely.
He's got so many shadows.
A one-up Deathly Tyrant could do the trick too. I've seen a few players that are a little bit more wild play that in their decks, and that can help with this situation, specifically for the Dragon matchup, but you won't see it very often.
Well, Trickster definitely looks to be in a tricky spot, so to say. 33 shadows in the pocket and nothing to really spend on that. He's got 14 cards left in his deck, and I think he's gone through just about every single early game card he has. Doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even Ektar here isn't really... I mean, it'll push the board for a turn, but then it'll just get blown up. So, this game's pretty much over.
This is just kind of what happens if Dragon survives too long.
Yep. And the absence of Shadow Reaper is keenly felt by all Shadow players, I can tell you that much.
Gains back the Oro, and I'm pretty sure that's to just make sure he has the direct damage.
Mm-hmm.
And put the
That's
13
lights
Growl
out.
style. Might as well wipe, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, show me the Bahamut attack animation, please.
Right. One beam straight to Luna's face. Let's go.
I'm ready.
Luna's
Oh,
a
he
bully.
lets it happen. Wow, Trickster, that is good manners to the max right here. Oh,
Too strong.
my God.
Oh, boo.
Hey, hats
Negative
off.
7.
Trickster with the classy play, allowing us to view that huge laser. And I feel like that's probably, as a side note, that's probably one of the most disappointing things about Deepwood Anomaly is when you do win with it,
You never see it.
you
yeah.
never see it happen.
You never
right?
see it.
You never get to see it happen.
Still don't know what that
Never.
animation looks like.
It's pretty cool. I've seen it once. It's pretty cool.
Well, the next time we do an event and we do a bunch of take twos, then you can specifically target Forest Craft and try to keep using Deepwood to see if that is something that you can kind of get there. But talk to me a little bit about that last game, Exodium. How did you feel it played out? Obviously, I think Trickster kind of ran out of a lot of gas, and sometimes, drawing cards is a part of card games. What should Trickster be thinking about right now?
Honestly, the matchup itself was played out just like Shadowverse Dragon plays out. It's realistically, does Dragon get Ouroboros? If they do, plus some of the endgame, great. But now Trickster needs to be thinking, okay, how do I finish this game? I've got to beat Spray Quaza twice now against a Shadow deck, which is a really strong deck, and bringing Haven seems like a really good choice to start that off.
And how do you feel about it, MV?
I mean, yeah, Haven's got a much better matchup here. Trickster will have the access to banishment, so I do like this.
Yeah,
We'll
He
see.
will have to
Haven
just
ha-
win the mirror again anyway, but
Yeah.
if he manages to win this.
One of the key notes about New Shadow is that it requires a lot of shadows to get going with its combos, and Haven being able to banish, not just getting rid of the followers very efficiently, also denies shadows, which is very important in the matchup.
Shadows that
Definitely.
we
All those
saw.
lurching corpses, all those bone chimeras over time are just gonna, these black inscriptors go so far against those.
Yep. And we might have seen Trickster save one for the turn 3 play, but because he drew the second one, his plays are very easy. Just get rid of all the value that Shadow can muster.
And this is just gonna be turn 4 scripture into turn 5 tea time. It's looking pretty good.
Pretty good. Plus, Trickster, and I think we're going to start seeing this a lot more. I know you guys talked about this a little yesterday, but the lack of Dark John in most of the Haven decks, I think you're going to see a very big resurgence of Dark John even now, today, because of its importance in the Shadow matchup.
That's a very interesting point. Certainly we saw some big Dark Johns going up to upwards of 7 damage on the buff up yesterday. It's still, I mean, that's always fun. I like big numbers. I think everybody should play Dark John.
That's right. Yeah, definitely more of that card.
All right.
Yeah, it's banished. I think he thought about playing the Tribunal there and killing one of the skeletons away. Since, saving the banish could eventually come in handy, but solid play, just getting rid of it.
So Spray Quaza really just doing everything he can to just generate value to see if he can outlast. So like right at this point, Spray Quaza is just thinking, I need to outvalue my opponent every single turn, play through the Themises, play through the Dark Johns, play through all these cards instead of just trying to like get aggressive damage in.
Alright.
And this
It
Tea
looks
Time
like
probably going to evolve to
Trickster-
go face, or he might just pass.
Yeah. It looks like he might pass, actually. If he does evolve the Tin Soldier and attacks Demon Eater, then an evolved Cerberus can just jump in there.
It's true. Keeping it at 6 play point, or 6 health rather, is actually super important. Yeah, I actually feel like the most optimal play here would be evolving, killing the Demon Eater, and passing.
Especially because you have the Dark Gen follow-up. Mostly because you have the Dark Gen follow-up. But it looks like he's gonna go for the 3-face, cash it in now.
So, yep, Serb, you gotta take care of that threat.
Yeah, it's gonna happen just like that. So Dark Gen's a pretty weak play this turn. However, I guess he could just set up Sacred Play. It's much weaker than it could have been, but no way to know that they had the Cerberus for free.
Yep. Might even play the Heavenly Hound here. Probably will wait, though. No reason to really extend that out onto the board.
Mm-hmm. Because there's no evolved minion on the board. If you wanted to keep it there and keep it buffed by Dark Gen, okay, never mind. Then it would have to evolve to not just die to Dark Gen, but...
Mm-hmm.
Lots of cards in hand for Sprig Quaza, and we're getting closer and closer to the Ector territory, but as you guys mentioned, with all the banishes that have been happening, a lot of the early game shadow builders for Sprig Quaza haven't really cashed in, so he's still sitting at 4 shadows. Of course he's got Coco and Mimi in hand ready to go now, but it doesn't seem like he's really even gotten started on his aggressive game plan. Trickster is still sitting at 20. What is the situation right now? I feel like it's looking pretty dicey for Shadowcraft right now.
I'm actually thinking the opposite. If you look at the resources, again, about that resource game I was telling you about, that Trickster actually has access to, he does have a few board wipes and a few removal spells, that kind of thing. But, like, look at the breadth of options that Spray Quaza has over the next, 10 turns. It's just going to generate a lot more value than Haven has. So, if we don't see something like an Igus pretty soon for Trickster, he might be in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. The sheer card advantage that Spray Quaza has over Trickster is going to eventually just overrun him. The second he's able to cast these zombie parties and just fill the board every turn while killing something as well, usually, that's just going to do it probably.
And White Tiger showing how awesome it is that it can't be zombie partied that turn. Makes him overextend the Ektar and get wiped away.
Awesome.
That's awesome. I've been promoting White Tiger since the set came out, and I'm so glad people are using it now. It's so good.
Ooh.
Yeah, the
that's actually really bad. He didn't
That's
hit
really bad.
He's just gonna eat this. Yeah.
That is 7 damage to the face.
He has no play, actually. He just has to wait.
I almost like the Dark John plus the Evo there. Especially because you're going to Sacred Plea into more cards.
Ooh. And there it is, Shadow making Dark John a horrible play.
Yep.
Putting 2 minions that just refill the board.
Themis as well. That was a great draw.
Yeah, Judge of
Retribution,
amazing.
Grandpapa Banish, showing up, doing some work. And Haven actually does have a nice little setup that if Trickster can deal with the 2 last words in play, those tribunals are going to pop in succession to help push the next couple turns through, but still needs an Igus.
Especially because the next couple turns will be led by Zombie Party.
Yep.
There it is. The Judge of
There it is.
Yep. Comes down. Banish still being such a good... I mean, the Banish is really, I feel like, keeping Trickster... I feel like that's the sole reason why Trickster hasn't taken more damage than he has. So
he's banished some high-value targets this game. He's gotten rid of a Bone Chimera and a Tendon Knight. It's really good.
Yeah.
As far as amazing targets go.
Keeping the shadows down really just means that follow-up plays get so much harder, right? So, like, a follow-up Ektar, not as great. A Soul Squasher means you have no shadows left, instead of having, like, 12 or 13 shadows at the moment, right?
It's a really defensive evolve there, but I do like it. There was already 6 damage on board. With an evolve, it was 8, so... Being defensive there when you know he's holding Coco. And there's the Zombie Party.
Yep. Now we get to see the old trades. Zombie Party for Themis, maybe another Zombie Party for a Dark John, and then we'll see the game progress after that.
Bone Chimera goes face, Tribunal pops Bone Chimera, Dark John.
Yeah. Let's go.
Oh, come on. He can just attack it anyway, but yeah, this is incredible.
Yeah.
Yep, he's got 2 of them, too.
Yeah, this is a pretty easy Dark John turn.
So
it'll set up his,
I feel like
his judge to die to the other zombie parties, but whatever. The value is too hard to pass up.
Yeah. And I feel like the game has actually shifted into Trickster's favor now because of the amount of removal he's drawn. Before it was just a few spells, now he's got multiple Dark Johns, plus that theme is still, plus he has Tribunals popping. He's got plenty of time.
With a plea ticking as well. He's got a plea ticking too, so that's even more added to it.
I'll show
Immortal Thane down, and really it seems like Spray Quaza is having trouble converting cards into damage onto Trickster's leader here.
Ooh, besides
It's just drawing way too much removal, and again, just Dark Gem lines up perfectly right here. It's not often that this happens, but...
Oh.
Ooh, what is that?
That's pretty good.
Yes. I think we'll most likely see Dark John here. It's just
Grimnir
an easy
could be a good
clear.
play.
You can save Grimnir for like a Death Breath or something like that.
Oh, it's true. Dark Gem won't kill Dust Breath, but Grimnir would, yeah.
And honestly, the possibilities are endless here. He's got plenty of ways
for sure.
to do
I mean,
this.
he's got really anything.
Yeah. So really, it's going to be on Shadow here to start drawing better cards. It needs to not draw its early game cards at the moment and just be able to push damage through all these removal spells, but it's going to be very hard from this point.
It needs to cast that Soul Conversion, and drawing a second one is absolutely terrible. Because he actually could use a 1-drop, or 1 or 2-drop, maybe even a 3-drop, because then he could actually use the Necro Assassin. But yeah, see there, he's just trying to bank in, draw cards.
And the worst thing about using Bone Chimera for something like a Necro Assassin right now is that it opens it up to removal. It doesn't give you that board presence outside of that. So.
Right.
Alright, we have ourselves in a situation where Havencraft is in late game. Still haven't kind of drawn that Aegis, but this is an interesting situation. You leave the Bane up. I guess it doesn't really matter since Dark John is at 2 defense if you wanted to crash it in, but I don't see any way he's just going to leave it up. I guess he's trying to bank on Grimnir protecting.
I think that's a pretty overzealous play because this allows for at least 4 damage to come through this game, where Trickster could have just eliminated all damage.
Ooh.
Yep.
I think it was totally fine. I mean, you've seen all 3 zombie parties, again, counting cards you've seen, so, like...
That's true.
I think it's fine.
I've seen a lot of the list play a couple Undying Resentments as well, but Spray Quaza might not be, and Trickster will know that.
We saw those yesterday, so... Definitely.
What I think is interesting now is because he chose Grimnir as a spell for removal, or as a card for removal, as opposed to something like Themis or trying to figure out some other way to do it, now if he uses a Themis, it's not quite as valuable because you don't have the followers on board anymore. They got traded out, and so I feel like the situation would seem a little bit better if you had maintained a follower and then played the Grimnir so that you could swing face, perhaps.
Yes, I honestly think that Trickster's in this, like, oh crap, I need to draw my endgame mode now, because I feel like the game has shifted back. Now that those Dark Johns are gone and there aren't any big followers for Trickster, he's kind of on the back foot until he draws something. And I think that's kind of like riding on him right now. He's like, oh crap, I need to play as defensively as possible, otherwise I'm just going to lose.
Yeah, exactly. He did cantrip and he did cantrip plea into plea earlier, so he's gonna get that going. And he'll eventually find some way to close this, I'm sure. But this Death Breath's gonna be pretty good.
Well, there are 19 cards left. And, he hasn't gone a late game option yet, so it must be one of those.
It's got to be in there
It's gonna
somewhere.
force a Themis.
Yes.
Yeah, and then the Ectar comes down. And I think this is the only Themis he's found so far, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, he does still have a few outs. Themis into Ectar refill is going to basically depend on what Trickster draws this next turn.
Yep, Trickster's next draw is going to be very important.
There it is.
If there's no answer to this board, he will be dead.
Just gotta hit Themis. That's
Most
all you
impressive.
can hit.
Yep. Dark John, technically, if there's a third one, but
Oh, gosh, that is painful.
feels bad.
Seeing your
Lasted
first Beast
so
Call
many
Aria when you're
turns.
23 cards deep is like, oh, that's such a... That feels so bad.
I honestly wonder, I mean, Trickster I think is back. There's no way he can live with the cards he has in hand. No evolution orbs, nothing really to ward up. And this Trickster, wow, he lets him get the killing blow again. Trickster,
He's a
this is
feel-good
one
person.
of a kind.
He's a
likes
feel-good
animations, man.
Trickster.
Yeah, he just wants to see it happen.
Oh, Spray Quaza giving the old TY. GG. No re. Goodbye. Zombie to close it out. 2-0 spray quaza will send Trickster to the losers bracket. So Trickster is not out. And I think in both games it was very much a situation where Trickster kind of was struggling to find options, and that's actually very surprising to me because, correct me if I'm wrong, but both Havencraft as well as Shadowcraft have some pretty good consistency in their decks typically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would say that Haven is a little bit less consistent than Shadow for the most part. Because it gets clunky with the amulets a little bit, but if it gets the right draw, it can feel amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Well,
definitely. There's
go
also
ahead,
the situation of, I just wanted to mention, just like, we've seen Grimnar twice now, and that card's also slotted for nerfs. It'll no longer, after today, or when the patch goes, it'll no longer do face damage. But both times we've seen it, the face damage was completely irrelevant. It didn't matter. Which I think is interesting because, it's like nerfing the card and it's still really, really strong. When the face damage didn't matter in either game.
That's a really good point. And I think maybe it would be a good time to kind of talk through a few of the changes here. Now, we haven't seen Bloodcraft today, which is not really a surprise to me because it was probably banned out. I mean, it was banned out in this last match. But the first one, Tove, goes from 3-3 to 2-2. Now it just is a normal card. It can attack at any time, but I believe the effect is if a neutral comes in, it gains rush. I believe that's what it is.
I think so, yeah.
And then we already saw a little bit of it today. Ouroboros does not have the healing associated with it when it has its last word, pop. Grimnar that you just mentioned, Envy, is no longer going to do damage to face on its enhance. And I believe the other nerfs were to Snow White is now a 2 defense on the evolved version, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
And does that go for the... Is that for both the normal evolve as well as the last word?
Yes, because technically it's just the
last
evolved
word just makes
form.
it evolve.
Yeah.
Great.
Right.
And then I think there was one more change, and that was to Goblin Leader. Goes from a what was it, a 1-2 to a 2-3 follower now, and it costs
and also
4
play points. Yeah.
It costs 4 play points. So those are all the changes.
Let's not forget about Spawn. Let's not forget about
Oh, right.
Spawn.
Spawn
Okay.
Spawn and Baphomet, too.
Spawn of
Yes.
the Abyss.
Spawn and Baphomet.
Right.
Yeah.
There,
So Spawn
yeah.
got a huge change. It just basically got its text damage down to 5, period. So it's not power based anymore. It's just 5. So
Yeah.
very awesome to see that it can't just one-shot people anymore.
I haven't played Spawn of the Abyss yet, but it must feel pretty good to do 16 damage in one go.
It doesn't feel good to hit by it.
It feels pretty bad, actually.
It feels bad. Okay.
It feels really bad.
I'll take your word for it. I'll take your
Yeah.
word for it. That being said, as a Dirty Roach player, I think hitting for large amounts of damage has always been a thing that I
That's a
hold very
bunch of
close to
cards,
my
though.
heart.
That's like,
Yeah.
counting on your hands, like how many cards I'm playing.
Yep. Okay, so Spawn of the Abyss, and then of course Baphomet actually is entirely changed. I think its enhanced effect was taken out completely, and all it is now is just search any Bloodcraft follower, I believe it is.
Yeah.
I think it's just Bloodcraft's Dragon Summoner. I didn't see if the enhance got taken away, but either way, I think it's just it doesn't really matter if it even has the enhance. You know what I mean? It's just a random card now. So
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's very bad now.
So all those changes, and it'll be, and I think those kinds of observations that you had, Envy, are actually really cool to see. Like Grimnar having its face damage removed did not really affect the flow of the game and the strength of the card in that particular instance.
Yeah. Usually the board wipe is the better side of Grimnar with the face damage. Sometimes face damage can lead to lethal or next turn lethal, but most of the times you use Grimnar, it's for that board wipe, and the face damage was just like win more, like adding to the frustration. It's that board wipe that's just like, why is a 2/3 ward hitting my board for 4? Like,
generally, when you wipe your opponent's board away and you have something left in play, whether it be an aggro matchup or control matchup or whatever, like you're still going to be able to close the game out more often than not. So yeah, the damage to face is just like, thank God you can't just kill me immediately with it. But that's about it.
right. Yeah. Just add a fan Grimnar. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Well, Grimner is going to be nerfed a little bit. I want to go back and just discuss that scenario that I talked about a little bit. When the choice was to commit the Grimner as the removal there, as opposed to something like the Themis' Decree, and the White King, I believe, was it the White King that remained with 1 health left? I think that was the scenario, right? As opposed to using the Themis' Decree and just maintaining the Dark John on board and being able to swing face. Do you think that was actually a game changer? I feel like it was eventually, of course, in hindsight, I feel like the end scenario would have been much better if Themis was committed at that point.
So I could go either way with the choice. So realistically, what I think Trickster was thinking was, I need to save this Dark John so I can end the game because I don't have something like an Aegis, so I just need some way to deal damage, and I really hope this White King just bricks into my Grimnir. And that's really the only thought pattern. The Themis would have set him up better, but because it would have removed his own Dark John, I think he was just like, I can't do that. I can't afford to expend my resources like that.
All right.
Exactly. Right.
Well, I mean, that game ended up in Trickster kind of going to the losers bracket. But now we're in double elimination, and Spray Quaza will move on to winners finals. And we're about to jump into the next winners semis game, which is going to be between Ban Hack the Rocks versus Endemon. And I believe we've seen Endemon before. The 3 decks that they've brought are Rune, Shadow, Blood for both of them. And now this is the question that we talked about, where Rune kind of felt like another deck that was banned out quite as equally because people didn't really want to deal with D-Shift. But let's see if that's the case here. Hacked Rocks versus Endemon, and it looks like one of the Runecraft decks will make it, which means I assume that Endemon's Bloodcraft deck is banned out. But let's take a look at these mulligans. Talk to me about what you guys see here.
So we definitely see a D-Shift in the opening hand for Endemon, which is great. And for Hacked Rocks, not so great against D-Shift, that opener.
I'm actually kind of glad that it is a D-Shift. I was going to add earlier, another reason people will ban Rune over Blood is because you know what Shadow's playing, you know what Blood is playing, you know what Sword is playing, but Rune right now is actually kind of a wild card. They could be playing either D-Shift or Dirt Rune, and if your decks aren't like aimed to beat both of those, you kind of just want to get rid of that. So,
right.
That's actually a very good point.
I actually think that leaving D-Shift because you think your aggro decks can beat it is actually a mistake. I think that D-Shift is not something most people prepare against enough, and I think it causes them to not play optimally in the matchup, and that's something that I don't think a lot of people consider.
For sure. It's a deck that's like fallen out of favor as far as ladder goes, so unless you actually particularly practice this matchup, it can be kind of weird.
I think Endemon has pretty much walked into the perfect situation. He's got Fate's Hand, Flame Destroyer, Dimensional Shift right at the start, plus a Levi for safety, another removal spell, and Magic Missile for even more draw. This is pretty much what you want for D-Shift. I mean, maybe a second Dimensional Shift card, maybe?
So with D-Shift, it's all about the flow of cards, right? It doesn't really matter what they have in their hand other than D-Shift and the Flame Destroyer. It's like, if Magic Missile hits another 2 play point spell into another cheap spell, into another cheap spell, that kind of thing. It has to flow correctly, but it has all the right tools, as you said.
Whoa.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
That was a very interesting line.
Yeah.
Because Magic Missile would have hit Kaleidoscopic Glow too, which would have not been castable on that Bone Chimera, but, you know, for sure going to be a cast target next turn.
Yeah. You usually don't see Dimension Shift players using their Fate's Hand like that, but felt like he probably needed to get some more answers.
For sure.
Yeah.
And he got another one. Oh, man.
He kind of lucked out a little bit there, since he does still have the Magic Missile. He got an Angelic Snipe as well as the Kaleidoscopic Glow, so he can actually just make a Golem, Angelic Snipe, or even play Levi and Evo here. Drawing cards first, of course. Yeah, he's drawing, just like Exo said, the flow. He's getting right into that flow. He's getting exactly what he needs.
Just cheap spells on cheap spells on cheap spells. Let's go.
Things are looking good for Endemon right now. Currently, Flame Destroyer at 3 play points and his Dimensional Shift at 11. So keep tabs on that, because any moment, and especially as the turns go on, you can play more and more spells. And once, for example, that Fate's Hand hits 0 cost, or any of your spells in hand, that Fiery Embrace as well hits 0 cost, you really start to see the effectiveness of D-Shift kind of go exponentially higher.
Absolutely.
It's a deck that sort of scales as the game goes on, literally. So.
Yes, definitely scales. Now, realistically, also, if there's not something else to help end the game beyond that one Flame Destroyer and maybe the Levi, he might not be able to assemble enough damage by turn 8. So it's a huge crapshoot with D-Shift on what you draw. Like, not just the small spells to feed into the D-Shift, but also being able to end the game in an appropriate amount of time. Because as this game goes on, Hacked Rocks will be able to deal more damage. I mean, it's just going to be a guarantee after a while, so...
He's 2 turns away from Ector, so that's still something that you very much need to respect, especially as D-Shift. You want to make sure you're removing, and kind of when you get to that play point 7 area, what does D-Shift really look for in terms of a mass board clear? Now, of course, shadows are kind of few and far in between for Hacked Rocks, but you still can't rule out the possibility that Ector is going to flood the board, right?
Right. Yeah. Board flood is the hardest thing for D-Shift to deal with, period. There isn't really a board wipe unless you play Fire Chains, which I saw some of the players in the EU doing, but most D-Shift players don't play that card.
Oh, and this is what I'm talking about. You got the zero-cost Fate's Hand that could really kind of bring you an extra spell here or there. And I really think D-Shift is coming close to pulling the trigger. You've got a zero-cost Flame Destroyer, which means that you can set that up and at least get one swing here. Of course, he hasn't drawn that second D-Shift, so that means that the one-shot capability really lies on how much health Hacked Rocks has once you commit that one spell that you have. And I don't know. I think that we've seen this situation before in the EU qualifiers, and it actually was kind of janky for the D-Shift player.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, like,
also,
for instance, right...
Levi's Fireball being used for board control there, while amazingly, it was a good play. It got a lot of value. That 3 damage can actually make a difference when going face for the kill.
Yep. Lets you actually OTK with less of a high end. Also, we see a situation here. This is one of the turns that I'm talking about. This will be a pivotal turn. So, if Hacked Rocks decides to go full face damage here instead of clearing board, it might enable and Demon to actually go off sooner. So, like, clearing D-Shift's board is very important, especially around the turn 7, turn 8 mark.
And of course, Hacked Rocks doesn't know what Demon has in hand, so he has no idea how effective the spell boosting has been.
Absolutely. Plus, he hasn't seen a sorcery cache yet, so he might think he has plenty of time, but it looks like he is going to clear board, so smart play.
This will probably end up leading to Fiery Embrace coming down this turn. It is at 0, though, so I imagine Merlin will be cast first to try and dig for a D-Shift.
Yep. Let's see. Let's count here. So we've got 3, 7, 10, 17 damage. Not quite enough. We'll need an extra few spell boosts on the D-Shift.
So the D-Shift currently costs 7 play points here. And, he's got a few more opportunities of spell boost. He's got the Fiery Embrace, which is 0, and then Conjure Golem, Merlin, of course, if that's a choice, or the Evolved Levi could be a choice as well, and the Sorcery Cache, which I believe the Sorcery Cache will kind of scale D-Shift's cost accordingly. If you use the Sorcery Cache, it's going to boost 3 times, which is going to put it to 4, right. And you're still going to remain with 4 play points, and you can use your 0-drop Fiery Embrace to push that 1 more play point down.
He's going to need to use that Fiery Embrace this turn. What I think Demon is doing is he's counting what he can do with his play points and not die to Ektar.
Insight is one of the best top decks he could have gotten there. Into Glow.
Yep. Glow the Soul Squasher, so Fiery Embrace the 3-1.
If he glows and Fiery Embraces, he can still play the D-Shift here.
Not going to play the D-Shift, I don't think.
He's not going to play the D-Shift. He has lethal next turn if he just chills.
Yep.
D-Shift with an Evolve wouldn't add enough, so...
Yeah, and he can, because the D-Shift costs so little right now, and especially this Conjure Golem is one of his cards, he could literally just play all the cards in his hand, right? The Flame Destroyer is 0, so it's 2, 4, 6, 10 play points if he wants to throw in the Merlin, but really the Flame Destroyer, Conjure Golem, and 2 Levi's is more than enough. So I think... Oh, he passed, so I think it's over, right?
Yes, I believe this is the end game.
Yep, there
Conjure
it is.
Golem, double Levi, Destroyer, Dimension Shift, Evolve 1 Levi, Fireball.
Yep.
It won't be long now.
There it is. And this is what's so dangerous, right? I mean, really, what could Hacked Rocks do? I think the big difference here is right on the 7th turn was the most important turn that Hackrox needed to have followers on board. And that would really enable him to use an Ector and kind of swing for face, but and Demon found some way to kind of squeeze and weasel his way out of that situation.
He did actually need that honestly, 1 damage from Magic Missile, but yeah, he still has it anyway.
Perfect.
That's funny. Yeah, that Angelic Snipe earlier, that aggressive Angelic Snipe actually helped him end the game. That's interesting.
Yeah. Every single point of damage matters, and that's kind of what Envy was saying before, right? The Crimson Sorcery that he chose to use for board clear, maybe that 3 points of damage could have changed everything, but it seemed like Endymion played out that situation right according to how it happened, and I don't know. What can you do at that point? I mean, the good news is now Runecraft is out. Right, you don't have to deal with D-Shift anymore. Now you can come back and try to win the next 2 games against what I can only assume is going to be the Shadowcraft deck that Endymion might run here, assuming Blood is banned. How do you feel that's going to play out against, do you think Ban Hackrox is going to run Shadow again, or do you think Ban Hackrox is going to take out his Rune?
Well, it looks like Shadow v Shadow. I think it really doesn't matter when you're playing like Conquest after the bans are done. It really doesn't matter what you want to do with your decks because they both have to win anyway. So realistically, it could be Hackrox being like, I don't really want to play Shadow for a game. I want to give it a break because I'm kind of tilted with that deck. But if he's fine, he's just like, I lost, whatever. It doesn't really matter what he brings because he still has to win. So.
Yep. Endymion.
Right, the only advantage you would have there is knowing exactly what he's against. There are some times that you would like, you're don't ban Blood, they're going to open Blood, and you go in with like, this beats Blood deck or whatever, but exactly like Hexo said, both of them have to beat Blood if you don't ban it, so, yeah.
What kind of a format is .deck?
This beats Blood .deck.
That's right. .deck, that's just a term, man. You get used to it.
I don't understand.
Phantom Howl actually in Endymion's hand is really, really interesting. It's not a
I'm a huge promoter of that card. I think that Phantom Howl is still great, and it's underutilized at the moment. It's one of the best removal spells Shadow has access to, and it's definitely one of the best finishers still.
That's actually interesting. Now, a lot of players, I think, don't see that card as a removal spell. They just think this is only for face damage. There's no reason I'd ever go, remove cards with this. But yeah, it's a good point.
First time you remove an Alice board with a Phantom Howl, you're just like, wow, that card's great.
Well, that's just an emotional attachment. That's just
you're right.
Getting stuck to it. I'll never cut this card.
Oh no.
And Demon drew Ector for later, but that makes this turn really awkward, actually.
Okay, so Hackrox actually has a good little engine here. He's got his Lurching Corpse, he's got a Demon Eater, he's got Soul Conversion, he's on the play. So he's got this new Shadow deck actually plays a lot like D-Shift. It's not necessarily about what you have in hand, other than your little combo pieces to draw cards. It's about the flow of cards as you draw them. So as long as they flow correctly, he's definitely in a winning position here, being on the play with the card draw.
And both players actually holding that card you mentioned, Demon Eater, from the new expansion. Turns out Soul Conversion on a stick is really, really good when you're also playing Soul Conversion. So being able to just turn all your little 1-drops, your Lurching Corpses, and your stuff that wants to die anyway into free card draw is pretty insane.
Excuse me, Shadow draws cards like D-Shift does now? Pretty good.
Yeah, turns out it's pretty good.
Pretty effective. Now, what's interesting is yesterday in the European qualifier, we saw a deck that was Shadowcraft run by Catch that was very similar, but it opted to remove things like the Lich, to remove all these other things in lieu of trying to guarantee pulling Lurching Corpses and Kawi's and such. How do you feel like that compares to this particular Ector version of the Shadowcraft line? Do you think it is more effective to run that heavy removal style? What are the benefits of the two?
So Ledger's always been kind of this, like, it's really good against late game decks and really bad against aggro decks. So it really depends on what you plan on playing against and what you plan on banning out. So if you're planning on playing against a lot of aggro, the Ledger variant's not very good, right? Because it doesn't actually do anything the turn it comes into play, except for maybe a random Lurching Corpse, which is not always what you want to be doing against a big board. But if it's a much slower format, then yeah, of course, you want to gain as much value as you can every single turn, and Ledger can definitely help with that.
Right, exactly. And like we saw multiple times yesterday, it's literally just whatever you ban to fit around the Ledger build. You know, you let Dragon through, you actually let Blood through, I think, a little bit, because it does help against spawn. Ledger into Cowie is very good against that, so... Or Lurching Corpse, you know, just one of the best ways to just get rid of their stuff pretty significantly.
And actually, that's interesting. Now, after today, with the update, Cowie will actually heal more damage than Abyss's passive will do, right?
That's true.
Right, yeah, actually, yeah.
Interesting.
That's true. It will always heal more now, as a matter of fact, because 5 is the limit for Abyss.
Yeah.
5 is
so more
the limit.
likely we just won't see Abyss ever again. But, yeah.
Well, I wouldn't go so far, okay? I'm pretty sure Abyss is going to show back up, but it's going to be in a wildly different deck.
It's still a pretty
Yeah.
good... I mean, inevitability is still very valuable, right? And
I mean, it's still pretty close to old Zell combos, right? It still deals like 13 damage and or 11 damage. So...
it's capped at 5 on attack and 5 on effect. No, wait, if it evolves...
But also it's damage,
It's
right?
actual
It gets
swing.
hit out.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
if it hits face. I forgot it. It doesn't have 5
Still
attack
a
on it evolves.
ton. Still a freaking ton, okay?
Yeah,
What is
can
it,
still
8
do
on
quite a bit
evolve?
If it hits face, yeah.
Yeah.
8 plus 5 on evolve.
I think the biggest nerf to spawn was actually that Baphomet's unplayable now. So you can't play 6 spawns. You can only play 3.
Unless you're cheeky and that's the only Bloodcraft follow in your deck.
Ah, okay.
There it is.
Phantom Cat. Phantom. Well, what if Baphomet just pulls Baphomet?
Oh, God.
Well, then you're in Dragon Summoner territory, and then you're just like, oh well.
Well, if you play that on like 5 play points or 6 play points, then you can do that
Play all
3 times. Yeah, you just keep playing the Baphomet until it. Hey, there it is, the removal.
And
Yeah,
Demon
I was
knows.
actually going to mention that. And Damien actually using the Phantom Howl, just like Exo said, as a removal spell here.
So I think you
Complete
gotta
board.
swing the 2 into the Demon Eater and the 3 into the Lurching.
Right.
Depends on if he cares a lot about the Demon Eater, but realistically, against the Shadow matchup, you want to remove everything in play so that they can't Soul Convert, they can't Demon Eater, yada yada. Okay.
Cost him 1 Evo Orb, but cleared the board.
Okay. Fina really the best play that Hacked has this turn. It feels bad because it's not evoing for any kind of special ability other than getting the Goblin Mage, which hold a skull piece, sad face. But has to do it. Has to present a board for Ektar coming up here.
Right. Not only that, but I think he also, worst case scenario there, you make a 0-mana minion. You can also cast Soul Conversion on that to look for, more powerful plays than Eater next turn. Since you're only holding the 6 shadows, you're not really going to get a good Eater.
The Death's Breath is actually something I think in Shadow Mirrors that is very important as well, right? Kind of the combination of Death's Breath and Ektar going back and forth. And,
Ooh, come on.
Ouch.
yesterday
That's no fun at all.
yesterday was insane in terms of the targeted removal or the not targeted removals. Today really
The
seems like the
targeted
opposite.
removal, yeah.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
just
they
the way it
all-
flows sometimes.
all the lurching corpses and the Necro Assassins went out to party, and now they all have hangovers. They really are not doing well today.
That's a very interesting evolve.
Oh my goodness. Well, Arthur, what was the card you were just talking about?
Lurching and Necro Assassin.
No, right before that, you said in this matchup you were.
Oh
you were
yeah,
trying to
Death's
discuss.
Breath and Ektar and kind of balancing the
right.
expenditure
So-
of shadows.
Death's Breath is not something you actually see in all Shadow decks anymore because of the Shadow expenditure, but it is very important to have in particular the Mirror and other aggressive matchups. So it really just depends on if the player has it or not.
Oh, got a Lich and still has a Lich in the pocket. 2 for 1.
That was,
Call now.
Erd really gets a lot of value sometimes.
Is like one of the most fantastic saleswomen in the universe.
Please explain.
There's so much value. Goes
wait,
up,
there's more.
buys your private information, gets your phone number, calls you, asks, hey, do you want more effectiveness out of X item in your house, right? In this case, Attendant of the Night. It says, well, I can help you with that. For what? 4 play points, I can turn your Attendant of the Night into a Lich and give your Attendant of the Night back. So you can possibly have 2 Liches. Insane!
You know, this sounds really good.
Need I say
Where do
more?
I sign up?
I mean, look at this board. The Attendant of the Night is chilling there, and he's got the Lich.
Popping 2 evolves there, putting Fina at 1, and then planning to evolve Lyriel the next turn, or use Zombie Party on it. 2 evolves to get rid of a 5/6 is quite the head play.
This
Yep.
must be fate.
I think it was just the big whiff on Necro Assassin that you just cringe at when it happins.
Yeah,
gotta
yeah,
play
for
back.
sure. You're just like, okay, Necro Assassin, whatever. Don't win the game for
Yeah.
free.
Putting you back in the bin, Necro Assassin.
Oh, man. Poor Necro Assassin.
So this game is looking like it's going to be a little bit grindier. Hackrock's definitely ahead right now because of just literally the life points, and that's really it. It will take him less time to actually push the remaining points of damage, but the game's pretty even right now.
Interesting.
I
And
think Rox has a bit more card advantage in the fact that he's holding another soul conversion, and Demon has just the 1 Demon Eater, but yeah, he could just cantrip into more. But this board, though,
I actually kind of
Yeah.
like this, just in the sense that you're going to be able to take down the Bone Chimera and it spawns here, and if your opponent responds by throwing down the Ector, your zombies still die anyways, because they only have 2 defense, right? So you've kind of putting your zombies at 1 defense is not really a weakness in this particular scenario.
Right, 100%.
yeah, he's noticed Demon has not done too much progressively in the past couple turns, having to use both evolves to get rid of 1 minion. Obviously, he's not drawing the best cards, so if you kill Shadow's minions, they can't draw cards, so
Right,
something has to
have to
live
play
there.
out of hand.
He'll
Interesting.
opt to kill Eector, which actually leaves up 1 extra damage.
I would imagine that well, 1 extra damage and bodies on board is like the staple.
I think
of
it's
House
actually one less damage because there would have been a zombie left as well, so that would have been a total of 7 as opposed to 6.
No,
Interesting.
Would have meant
zombies
that
can kill 2
Cerberus was a
zombies.
kill, and now it's
The
not.
zombies trade evenly, though.
The zombies do, yes, but there was also a Lich on the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I mean is, instead of using the 2 zombies to kill 2 zombies, he used 2 zombies to kill the Eector.
Right.
Ooh, that.
Oh,
Right, which took
that's
5 damage instead of 4 damage off the
Oh
board.
my god, that's a lot of zombies.
So many zombies.
Oh no. That's not what he needed to see.
I think this is lights out.
Yeah, being at 3 health and also having no ward available right now. And that's kind of what we were talking about in terms of the
Yeah.
mirror match, right?
Yeah,
Ward
Death
can
Breath
be
would
very
be amazing here. Had he Demon Eatered his own Ector there and hit a Death Bowl, he wouldn't actually have the ward anyway, because Ector ate all the shadows, but
Right.
yeah.
But that just goes to show.
That's when the card would have been useful.
And I
if
think
he
we
had the
mentioned
shadows.
this. We mentioned this yesterday, right? When we were talking about Shadowcraft, is that typically you have much more aggressive set cards, and where traditionally you would have run Death's Breath. Now that people are kind of actually foregoing it, your health points are so much more valuable now.
So much more valuable. Not only that, it's like you really see the difference on the play versus the draw in the matchup now. Like, it used to be really important, but now it's even more important because of if you have a unit in play, you can draw cards, and if you're on the play, you can manipulate that a lot better.
Interesting. We've got Runecraft Dirt Rune.
There it is, Dirt Rune.
The dirty Rune.
That wild card I was telling you about, man.
Yep. And then Demon again on Shadow. So this will be interesting. He's got a lot of illusionists. And I think this early game plays out quite well. You can go for the Alchemist and then the Illusionist Earthright. Or Illusionist Earth Rune on turn 3. And that gives you a pretty sticky board.
Definitely not bad. Especially since Shadow is not really... These current Shadow builds aren't really doing too much in the beginning, except setting up things that will cascade in the mid-game, so...
Yep. Very well put. I like that word, cascade.
Cascade.
Cascade. One of the more busted Magic keywords.
Oh yeah. Let's not get into that right now.
Oh gosh. Card games.
Oh yeah. All right. So
Yeah, there's really
Hackrox,
not much you can even do. You
with
just
a
have to
pretty
go
good
face.
curve.
Like, why even kill anything right here?
Right. Set up a little red hot ritual. Set up another magic illusionist.
Mm-hmm.
Easy peasy.
But again, Shadow's 4-mana play. They're not really doing anything. Even a Necro Assassin this turn would be pretty slow and weak, so he's just gonna keep setting up.
Still can't really affect the
Stage set
board.
for Cerberus. Ooh.
My friend's pretty terrifying, right?
And Demon says, you know what? I don't care. I'm just gonna go face.
It's funny because both of them actually want to ignore the other person's board right now.
Right.
They just want to keep hitting each other in the face.
Interesting. Who do you think? Well, I guess eventually, once you get to Professor of Taboos, everything comes crashing down. I feel like this is a perfect opportunity to try to get rid of the Lurching Corpse, just because you'll still maintain your cards on board. But if you start throwing down other cards here, then you run the risk of kind of...
You're done for.
I hope he swings first.
I think this Levi is going to use the Fireball on the 3/3 and then kill itself on the Lich. So, oh, never mind.
Interesting.
So
Okay,
Illusionist
piercing
will kill
rune
this.
instead.
Yeah, that's interesting for sure.
Keeps the Levi around.
Leaves the
Now,
corpse.
that play I don't understand. If you're going to keep the Levi around, get rid of the Skull Beast with your Illusionist.
Keeping the well, I guess he chose to. Yeah, no, I don't know. Yeah, getting rid of the body because you don't lose the Illusionist.
Right?
Your odds don't change.
So very interesting play. It kind of went 50-50 there. Kind of defensive, kind of face, and I think kind of garbled it right at the end there, but we'll see how big of a difference it makes.
I think Demon just had the tech of all my minions can't attack you except for this hidden Skull Beast. They can hit me.
Right, exactly.
Either way.
Actors was like, oh, wait a minute, that's not another Lurching Corpse. What have I done?
Maybe he won't realize that.
The Skull Beast. The terror. Look at it. Where are its eyes? Skull Beast is another one of those cards that I haven't really looked closely at.
It's
Actually
a
has no
beast
eyes.
with no eyes. Come on, it's a skull.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to
The
have
skull.
any eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Can't see, it just flails.
Whoa!
He's going face. That's the only place.
Lurching Corpse.
And even knows what's up. Is he gonna go face with the Skull Beast? Please. Oh, okay.
Oh.
I was like, you're not that much of a man, Andy. Come on.
There's no way.
You gotta
That
play a
value
little
trade is way
defensively
too
here.
good.
I would have voted for it.
God.
I'll save my
Here it is.
Alright.
All right, please don't kill
Taboos
yourself.
is gonna snipe Corpse. It's gonna happen.
Okay, I'm
So many
this
ways
is-
to kill itself.
Oh god.
This sacrilege will
He's gonna flood the board here though, so it's gonna be a 20% chance to hit Taboo's back.
forensic spell.
Oh, sorry. 25%. Because Taboo didn't make the next to zombie because it didn't that was on the board. Oh my god.
You get
Aye.
what's coming. You get what's coming.
25% chance. Of course it'll happen. Why wouldn't it?
Oh no.
That's rough.
It still has
Still
a
have
board.
very
Actually
good
has to
spot,
see an
though.
enemy minion die before it'll make that zombie, so it wasn't a 20% yet.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been, but yeah.
I think we might actually see the Phantom Hell be a defensive play again.
He
Well, I
can.
mean, it's holding 11 damage right now, so
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he's got the evolve plus the 4.
so one-off lethal always feels bad, but I think that might coerce Demon into keeping it. I mean, 1 damage,
Okay.
but goes for it. Yeah, it's gonna go for the defensive one.
Yep. I can't tell you how many times I've just been like, you know what, Rune can't kill me, and then they're just like, you're dead.
Especially Dirt Burn Rune though. Like
Oh, yeah.
they play
Oh, yeah.
Halo Golems, they play Oz into damage spells. Like if any deck could do it, it would be this one.
Yep. Especially you already know that the Crimson Sorcery is still sitting in hand, so kind of makes you wary.
Yeah.
And now I think that Demon's actually going to be able to take this game back over.
A good card at heart, and it doesn't deserve all the bullying that it gets. Nope, Exilia. Nope. Okay. Well, we are about to jump back into the game, so let's see what has transpired between the two of them. Looks like Demon is trying to make up the situation. I can't tell. I believe we've already seen this turn here, and I think the Goblin Mage and the Time Worn Mage gets played here. And then I believe the top deck Hector comes by. And let's see. Mm-hmm. There it is, and it looks like the choice was that ND was going to play the Ector, and he's going to call his buddies up and says, hey, there's some cards that we need to get rid of. Come help a brother out. And the zombies say, we got your back. And now the Goblin Mage and the Dwarf Alchemist get pieced out. There it is. And now just a 7-8 Ector. Oh my god! The top deck on the Dance of Death puts Demon onto 8 health, but the card options are definitely in favor of Demon right now. Plays out the Immortal Thane, and just a crit. Oh! What is this game? The top deck of the Wizardess of Oz, and let's see what happens here. Oh my god! The Mutagenic Bull! What? What did we just miss? What the heck? I can't believe it! The instant. Oh my god, what a game! What? I think there's too much insanity happening right now. There's just too much going on. I think my brain is gonna explode. He top decked the Dance of Death, and then the Wizardess of Oz, and then got the Mutagenic Bolt lethal. It was so insane that Envy Bear and Exodium just left. They just left me. Well, it's not the first time in life that I've been left alone. To be fair, I'm experienced in these situations where it's just me, myself, and I. But that does mean that Demon actually does win 2-1 against Ban Haktorox, and Demon will actually move on to the winners finals to fight off against Spray Quaza, who we just recently saw defeat Trickster, and Ban Haktorox will go down to the losers bracket. So we have yet to know who, as a bracket was being propagated as we begun the cast, we have yet to know who is facing off against Trickster in the loser, and who is facing off against Ban Haktorox in the losers quarters as well. So we will be able to find that out very, very shortly, as soon as we discover where Envy Bear and Exodium have run off to. I think the terror of what happened in the last game kind of scared them away, so we'll have to see. We've already called people, we've called the dogs, we've got their scent, so they're on the search right now as we speak. If there are any updates, they'll let me know and I'll let you know, but as it stands, we will be waiting and getting situated again. The current brackets look like this: Spray Quaza and Demon in the winners finals, and whoever wins out of those two will go on to the grand finals and well position themselves to take first place here and become the next invited player to the round robin stage. Meanwhile, in the losers bracket, we have Trickster versus an opponent who we do not yet know, as well as Ban Haktorox versus an opponent who we do not yet know as well. So these guys are going to have to play out a few rounds here to get to the losers finals and decide who will again face off against the winner between Spray Quaza and Demon. So still a lot of Shadowverse games to go. Season 2 of the Shadowverse Open is just kick-starting now. We've had 1 week of qualifiers prior. Europe and North America have played out 1 week. Europe played yesterday for the second week, and now we are broadcasting the second week of the North American qualifiers. And then next week will be the third week of the North American and European qualifiers, and that's going to be the end of it all. So if you want to participate, next week is your last chance. Then, from there on out, we have about 4 weeks of round robin play and exciting competitive action between the 12 players that will be chosen out of these qualifier weeks, and the champion will be discovered there. So before we get into the rest of the matches for today, would like to throw to a slight break, and when we come back, more NGE Shadowverse Open is waiting, so don't go anywhere. Alright, guys. We are back. We saved ourselves. We healed up a little bit. Got that curate going. And got everything up and running again. So we have Envy Bear and Exodium joining us finally. We tracked them down. We found them. We reeled them back in. This time we put them in the cage and locked the gate so they couldn't run away anymore. So that won't be an issue. But we're about to jump into our next game. We just finished the winners finals. Apologies, because I totally screwed up the names, and in my head, I put in Demon as the winner, but it was actually Ban Hackterox that won, of course, off the beautiful use of Wizards of Oz into the Mutagenic Bolt. So Demon will be sent down into the losers bracket, and Ban Hackterox is the one that moves on to face Spray. So we are about to jump into the losers side of the bracket and see how this tournament will play out. And when we do, we'll get to see some elimination matches, guys. So up until now, nobody has been kicked out of the tournament, but this is it. This is the last chance people have. Double elimination, 3-deck, 1 ban. We've seen Trickster play before, and he's got Shadow, Blood, and Haven, and I believe Trickster is going to be one of the opponents of the next match. I don't know who else is there, though, so we won't be able to kind of really see what decks he's been playing. But before we get into there, some exciting things happened at the end of that particular match, and brought I guess Ban Hackterox to win. Okay, we're gonna see Endymion again, and that's against HSK Pancake. And Endymion just was on the receiving end of some very, very cool game-finishing plays, and now he has to fight Runecraft again. I wonder how tilted he is.
Yeah, very quickly that game spiraled out of control. We didn't really get to see it as it unfolded immediately, but it was pretty epic. That was about one of the best finishes I've seen for a while in Dirt Rune, just like drawing the perfects into the perfects into the perfects.
Absolutely.
Alright, so to get started off again, we've got HSK Pancake also playing Burn Rune with kind of a dirtly hand.
It is, it's pretty, stacked with nothing at the moment.
Yeah. Get your boots
Well,
ready.
Endymion has got his, he's got his late game and he's got his draw, so if he can just hit, like, a mid-game card here, if he can get a Demon Eater anytime soon, he's in a pretty good spot.
Generally, I would say that Dirt Rune has the advantage in the Shadow matchup because of cards like Master Mage Levi and Mutagenic Bolt, and if they play taboos and all that kind of stuff. But if it doesn't get rolling fast enough and it doesn't get that early game damage in, it might be really hard to close out the game.
True. Pancake actually forcing a card draw here, getting that Lurching Corpse off the board, forcing Illusionist to pop that Cauldron, but Levi's not the best card either.
I actually like this because you can play the next Earth Sigil and maintain Illusionist on the board.
It's a very heads-up play. Plus, it doesn't allow for Necro Assassin tricks in a turn or so.
Ooh. This is not too good for Endymion. He's drawing like his end game. Once he hits 7 mana, he's pretty fine, but this is not what he wants to be seeing right now.
Both players with very similar draws, leading towards the end game, and I think that favors right now Endymion because those Mutagenic Bolts you don't really want to be playing when you're even or behind. But if he can push these next couple turns out, which it looks like he's going to be able to, then those Mutagenic Bolts look a lot better. So this is actually looking pretty good.
This is like the Mega Luriel here, evolving the Time Worn Mage. You get the 4 damage plus 3. Oh my god.
Mega Luriel always feels
swing.
good.
The fact that this Levi can still go face. Oh gosh.
This is looking really good for Pancake now.
Yeah, that's switched pretty fast. Or it kind of snowballed for Pancake pretty fast.
And you mentioned it before, now all of a sudden Mutagenic Bolt looks much stronger, right? You almost don't want to play a large amount of followers because that just makes you take even more damage.
Yeah, you can't. I think that because it's only turn 5, that Endymion's in a very poor spot. I don't know how he's gonna come back this game, honestly. So Master Mage into Mutagenic Bolt or another Levi is just gonna end the game in just a few turns here.
Wings are killing me. No.
So with Mutagenic, he's gonna be able to do 4-6 damage this turn, I believe. Or I guess he could use Master Mage here.
Oh wow!
Jeez.
got
Use Master
all
Mage.
the
He has a
options.
third option. Be defensive with Tamboos.
If he uses Master Mage, he gets 3, 5, 7.
And then he can just finish off next turn with a mutagenic bolt or whatever else. Realistically, it doesn't matter how he orders his cards right now because he can
Yeah.
push with the mutagenic bolts regardless.
I'll save my daughter.
Goes to the more defensive play.
It won't be long now.
This sacrilege will save
It is
her.
prior to Eekter can come down, prior to Fang can come down, and sets up just way more on the board.
Come on,
Yep.
six bells. Come on, six bells.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, ouch.
You
And
thought
like,
Shadowcraft
imagine,
made zombies.
imagine even a Death's Breath right here, right? Just doesn't save you because of the bolt. So
Yep. Such a strong card. Transform effects
Soul
are
Squasher's a pretty
rare.
good draw there, though. He can play Soul Squasher, evolve it, and pull Lethal off the board. And there's no Earthright, so it actually would stop Pancake from killing him.
The question
true.
is how many. So it really is important how many followers he plays alongside that, because that can change whether lethal is available or not.
yeah, I think honestly we're coming up with things to talk about, but I don't know if there's actually anything that Andemon can do with the 2 mutagenic bolts in the hand of Pancake.
At the moment,
I just don't think
Andemon
there's
is
any
just
board.
kind of delaying the inevitable, from what we both
Right.
know. Yeah.
All right, so 4. He'll have 4 damage left here.
And with the Master Mage, that'll be that.
GG.
A GG, and does it the classy way, right? Gotta kill the Soul Squasher.
Yep, there it is. Master Mage Levi is pretty sick.
Pretty sick.
It's a pretty sick card. If that's what Levi was like when he was young, what is Levi like when he's a baby? I would
Ooh.
imagine.
Uh, too good. He's way too good.
Probably a very hard kid to manage, I would imagine. Casting fireballs all over the place and doing whatever he can,
Yeah. Incredibly frustrating, probably. But there it is. The first game will go to Andemon, unless I keep messing up the names here. Trickster. Oh god, my memory is just leaving me, actually.
You've got my memory.
I just see...
I don't know who you're playing yet.
Sometimes I honestly just see the crafts as opposed to like the players, because
Yeah.
I get so into the game. It's just like, oh, Runecraft won, as opposed to Shadowcraft. But actually a good, I think it was HSK Pancake. Yep, Pancake took the win here. And that's twice now that Andemon has taken a loss to Runecraft. So I think that might be a little bit of a Achilles heel, if you would. But now
See, Andemon's choices here are a little perplexing to me, just as far as like the whole ban and play order thing goes. Like if his Shadow's left up, not like banning either Haven or Rune, which are both really good against Shadow, actually, seems like a little bit of a misstep. Yeah, unless he didn't have another choice. But
right.
Right.
Crystals of snow shimmer in the
Well, he has rammed the Shadow into Rune twice now, so it's possible that he believes it to be a good matchup. Ooh, a triple urge.
interesting. Triple Erd, interesting.
Now this
Okay.
is an example of somebody who is way too gullible.
Yeah.
Got the advertising call once. He was like, "Wow, this is great," and then ended up getting a whole bunch.
I have not seen 3 Erds in a Shadow deck, but really trying to build up on the value of the early game, which feels bad when you're on the draw, especially facing down possibly banish effects.
And we know that possibly is at least one.
At least one.
At least one. Yeah.
Ugh.
I actually kind of like not banishing this turn and just developing that doggo. Yeah, I like that a
Oh
lot.
yeah.
finally a break.
Especially knowing that Andemon is holding straight nothing in his hand.
Pancake has probably one of the best early game draws you can have for Haven, being on the play with double Snow White, Hound, Scripture, just all the options.
Ooh, and he's got Garuda and the tea time as well.
Crystals of snow
I
shimmer
would be in favor of going very aggressive here.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this is looking pretty good. Got all the way from a 2 through a 7 curve. Not bad.
3 shadows here. So if you would choose to use Phantom Howl, that is an option.
And this is actually one of the reasons a lot of people will argue against Erd. It doesn't happen often that if you play 3, you draw all 3 in a row, but this can happen, and this is terrible. Your hand is just this cloggy mess of vanilla 5/5s.
Hey, I mean, you got rid of the ward.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, removed 0 damage from the board.
And now you spend the evolve, and you are left with a 5/3, which is okay. I mean, the Tin Soldier could perfectly remove that.
So can double Snow White if he wants to reserve the Evo, but
Yeah, true.
I doubt that's going to be the play.
The real battle begins.
Yeah, Tin Soldier killing this is very clean.
This
Yep.
must be fate.
Yep, and it leaves a 5/6 body up like we've discussed before, which does not die to Cerberus on the Evo back or the Erd, unless he chooses to play Erd and Evo into it.
Necro Assassin.
Well, actually, if he resets the stats with Erd, then it
Yeah,
will.
that's true.
But again, like if your turn 4 and 5 are just Erd evolve, that's so weak.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, with this draw, he's gonna get slapped by Garuda next turn. Like,
Yeah.
this is not looking good for Endemon.
And draws a Necro Assassin instead of another Enabler, which doesn't feel good.
Oh my
Necro
God.
Assassins and Erds in the same list is has the potential for sure to be extremely clunky, as we're seeing here.
These golden wings will
Garuda down. 3 damage to the leader, plus a Tin Soldier, and the capability to evolve for even more damage here.
This must be fate.
Just as a small shimmer in
I feel bad for
Pancake's board
Endemon
is
too.
insane.
After getting top decked out by the last matchup, he's just getting steamrolled these games. This
Yeah.
cannot feel good.
And even pretty much hit a wall here.
Yeah.
Reminds
He needs
me,
to Skull Beast into this Necro Assassin and just hope that it hits the 4/5. Or the 4/4. Doesn't matter. You can evolve Necro over either, but
4,
that
4,
needs to happen.
6. He's still dead, right? 6, 8, evolve 10.
Oh, there's still
Well,
evolve
he
left.
can-
Yeah, because if he doesn't kill the Tin
can-
Soldier, yeah.
He can Erd and reset one of the Snow Whites, and then also play an Undying Resentment, and then Evo the Erd.
plucking me from the skies.
Oh, true. Yeah.
He's going to be able to evolve and remove both the Snow Whites. Or you can choose to remove the Tin Soldier and one of the
I think
Snow
you
Whites.
have to kill Tin Soldier. Yeah, you have to kill Tin Soldier.
Yeah.
It does 8 on its own, so
100%, yeah.
That's right, yep.
yeah.
So it's a good board clear. Seeing Phantom Howl used as a board clear once again. Necessarily this game, but...
Yeah, for sure. He had to.
Alright.
Interesting. An anti-blood card there for sure.
Very, very interesting that it was such a blowout beginning by Pancake, but if he draws nothing but defensive cards to end this game, Endemon might be able to scratch this one back.
Yep. I mean, if Haven's just gonna draw nothing the next few turns, things that aren't amulets and Garudas, then yeah, for sure.
I think the one point of concern is that Pancake still has an Evo Orb, and Demon has no shadows for example, Death's Breath, right? Or Ector.
Ah, the 5/5? Just once?
One time.
Yeah, there it is. That had to happen at some point, right?
Yeah, he had to get it eventually.
Necro Assassin
yeah.
always gets her, man. What are you talking about?
Oh man. We started out the day with some pretty lackluster Lurching Corpse Necro Assassin plays here, but
It's true.
I guess it had to finally swing back in favor.
So I'm kind of feeling
technically it
Priest
was
of the Cudgel
50%. It
Evolve,
definitely
go
could've been
face.
not
Yeah,
Yeah.
make it easy.
Your evil deeds end now.
Wants to save. Basically, doesn't. It's not about saving really. It's more just about I want to pressure board. I need to finish this game out because I really don't have anything else to do so. So let's go.
Mind of the red brat.
Alright guys, how do you read that name?
Nisha.
Nisha?
Nisha.
I like to go with Noise.
Mouse?
Noise.
Noise!
Okay. You know what? I'm going with that from now on. That's way better.
That's gonna be game. Rip.
Yep.
Oh, Snow White's evolved! Forget it's so weak, sometimes you just forget it's evolved.
Soul Squash. Oh my god. Well,
And
there's
the
one
end
turn
game.
left.
You could just
Yeah.
miss the board. Okay. Or not even bother them missing away the squasher.
Yeah,
Don't care.
I think at this point there's no healing. There's nothing to do. Grimner is still powerful. He's still lifting weights. He hasn't lost
And
his muscle mass yet.
A small point to be made here. Death's Breath. Not so good this game. And why? Because of the shadow dependency. This is why a lot of people are not playing them anymore. Specifically this reason.
Yes.
Base damage Grimner matters.
Yeah.
Being
Be
judged.
doable.
Just one tick.
1 damage.
Just one tick, and oh my gosh, in tragic fashion, and Demon just gets rolled straight from winners. He got dropped. He went to Disneyland, went to, what is that ride called? Brings you all the way up to the top, and then just lets
Tower
you fall.
something.
Tower of Terror?
Tower of Terror.
Tower Terror.
That was Ed Demon's experience right there. He literally just a hole cut under his feet, and then he just fell straight down into the basement. So unfortunately, Ant Demon will be eliminated right before he got into the top 4 there, and HSK Pancake will move on to the next round in the losers bracket. So before we continue on with the tournament, I'd like to remind you guys that you can go to shadowverse.ng.io to sign up for the tournament, or figure out when the tournament broadcasts are going to be, so that you can follow us, Envy, Exodium, ISMPI, and myself in our journey in the Season 2 of the Shadowverse Open. There's a lot of new information that can be found there about the round robin. Also, if you want to talk about Shadowverse, at Shadowverse Game on Twitter, make sure you tweet at us. Talk about anything you want Shadowverse related, Shadowverse Open related. Hashtag NSVO if you want to tell us who you think is going to win. Is it going to be Pancake? I don't know. Or maybe it's going to be Ban Hackterox. So there are quite a few choices. Still a lot of games to go in this season. So we are about to jump into Trickster versus, I have no idea, but we'll find out in just a bit. How have the games been so far? Let's talk about Runecraft a little bit, starting with Exodium. How do you feel like Runecraft is going to play after these changes?
After the changes, I think Runecraft's going to remain relatively untouched. I think Rune's going to be even better than before because it doesn't have to worry about blood anymore, of course. And it already has good game against Shadow, which we see as being the most prominent deck at the moment beyond blood. So I think Rune's great.
What about for you, Envy? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Rune has 2 pretty powerful archetypes in Burn, Dirt, and Dimension Shift, and those 2 decks will only get better for sure. So.
Well, certainly. I actually think that Rune has, out of all the crafts, and maybe out of the history of Shadowverse competitively, would you guys agree with this, that Rune probably has the most archetypes that are run competitively right now? I'm trying to think.
100%.
They're pretty
Like
versatile
you can go
as a
defensive
faction.
with Dirt, you can go offensive with Dirt, you can go D-Shift, you can go Conjuring Force, my personal favorite.
What is Conjuring
You
Force?
go Daria. I mean, like, yeah, Rune has any number of different interactions that make it competitive. So
That's really interesting to see how stark of a difference it was when everybody was running either Daria or the traditional Dimensional Shift. And even now there are different iterations of Dimensional Shift as well, right?
I guess you're looking for a
yeah,
fight.
there's basically just Enchanted Sword plus Blade Mage if you want to go off super quick. There's the Flame Destroyer variant. I mean, you can do anything you want with D-Shift. You can even play Queen of the Dreadsea if you want to go crazy.
All right, well, we are here with Noir versus Trickster. Noir is an opponent that we should be very familiar with. Now, DIS Disastra, as far as I understand, is a team that was formulated after a shift off of Crimson Fencers. So Noir used to be on Crimson Fencers and now on Disastra with a few other people, such as Potwasher, right? And I think Auto Aim and a few of the other guys are all on a team called Disastra now. So it's a new team in the scene with some more veteran players. Let's see how they do here. How are these hands looking?
Let's see. So for Trickster has at least the end game. I think this is the first time we've actually seen a Haven player draw their Aegis.
That's right.
Which is pretty good. Andy's on the play, which helps. But Noir, I believe, has a pretty decent hand too. Definitely has Kaleidoscopic Glow against Haven, which is always amazing, and a good curve.
Yeah, he unfortunately can't punch through that Grimner though, so it's just gonna brick wall the illusionist.
But
Yeah,
as
why
we know,
Tabu
old
again,
man
man?
Levi is always there to clean up the job before young Levi comes back, or through time to come clean it up again.
I swear it's Benjamin Button. Young Levi
Right?
is actually old Levi.
Yeah.
It's just like
That makes sense with
The,
the play order. See? Ahead of your time, Arthur. Ahead of your time.
Nice.
Old Levi actually getting some action there though. Cleans up the way, but there's not really too much follow up for Noir in his hand.
Looking like a very traditional Levi play. The evolve into the piercing rune.
Used to be much stronger than it is now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think regardless of what happens next turn, that Trickster is going to want to get that Tribunal out there to set it up for the Aegis on turn 9. So his plays are pretty straightforward. It really is on Noir to see if he draws anything relevant.
Yeah, he's
Right.
kind of in an awkward spot, isn't he?
He's not able to cast anything next turn except for the fireball right now, so
The Crimson Sorcery. What a name. Crimson Sorcery.
Yep.
I will always call it something different. Fireball, lightning bolt, whatever.
Just whatever the snowball,
Yeah, snowball.
I like Snowball. Snowball's pretty good.
dirt clump. What is an earth ball called? A
Yeah.
Ooh,
a rock.
Yeah.
brick pretty hard there.
Double Witch's Cauldron. There is nothing to Tribunal.
No.
That's
There isn't,
true.
but he still might play it.
I'm up for it. Do it. Do it. Please do
It's a
it.
heads-up play that not all Aegis players would make, but generally speaking, if you're ahead, there's no reason not to. Especially because you have Themis for backup if you really need a removal spell. You really just want to secure Aegis on turn 9.
He's thinking about it.
He
Never
just
mind.
passed?
Ooh.
Rip.
That's sad.
Rune.
That is sad times. I
So
wanted that to be
likely
the truth.
taboos happens this turn for Noir. The Master Mage, you can make 2 Master Mages trigger, but now that you drew Iron Scrap, yeah, taboos just makes a bit more sense since that face damage isn't gonna matter.
Come on, 6
He's commenced
And
again.
Tribunal will naturally hit the 3/5.
So let's kind of think about the Tribunal play along the terms of the game here, because like A, is he ever going to be able to cast it again, and B, what would it have done on turn 9? Just so we can kind of see how those amulets play out, especially with
For
Aegis.
sure, yeah.
I mean, I think that there is a world where you try to remove the taboo with it here. Because you kind of
There's
want to
also the
save your
play where
evil
you can
orbs,
go,
right?
you can go Grimner Evolve into the Zombo, into the guaranteed Tribunal. But looks like he's actually just gonna go for it.
He's going to wing it.
Oh,
Nope.
man.
Oh wow.
Well, at least there's no way to create zombies now.
Yeah, Trickster getting a little unlucky there.
This will be a lot of damage pushed this turn. A lot.
Yeah, this is. I imagine taboos will evolve actually.
100%.
Definitely don't want to save
Demonic
that for the
Strike
next
is
game.
interesting.
Yeah, this is
Especially
a
behind
strong
a ward.
board
This will
state.
force Themis.
Sacrilege will save her.
Yep. Must Themis.
It's still 8. Why?
You actually always eat the Earthright with taboos.
Taboo.
Always eat.
Yep.
The guy's so wasteful. Don't you know the trend is to go green these days? Oh my god, I lost all respect for the professor of taboos. What kind of
It's
educated
actually
human?
really good for Noir. He can just Demonic Strike and then just hold till Grimner, and it's over.
Yep.
So,
There it is.
yeah. Very nice.
Yep, this is pretty much it.
Noir finds himself in a very good spot. Runecraft is very successful today. This would have been the turn that you would have removed the thing.
The 0-2. Yep.
Yeah, but I guess it doesn't really matter as the 0-2 doesn't do anything anyways.
Right. Right. I think because of the game plan of Demonic Strike and Grimnir, it just completely waylaid the idea of playing Young Levi or anything like that, which might have come down had the Grimnir not been in hand.
And there's no possible way for him to close it out in these next 2 turns.
There is, with the Grimnir. Grimnir could actually end the game here, and I think actually, because there is no way for Noir to win here, I think Trickster just wins this game. I think this is it.
Oh, he does have a bird popping. You're right. He's got the
He
bird.
has a bird popping.
Wait, hold. I completely forgot about the beast called Arya.
Yeah, he's got the bird.
So, not playing Master Mage Levi and instead opting to
Evolve
just play
the
around
Grimnir?
everything with the Demonic Strike is going to cost him this game.
He didn't evolve the Grimnir.
No!
No.
Oh my.
Oh wait, it doesn't matter. Tribunal's
Yeah,
popping
the
also.
Tribunal popped.
But this is
Oh
Grimnor's
my
face damage mattering again. So we're 2-2.
Don't!
We talk about delayed amulet effects. We were all thinking about the Tribunal, but Trickster was on another level and he set himself the one
I
turn.
didn't see the bird at all, man.
Or I guess it was a
like,
2-turn. Yeah. The
Yeah.
birdie
Yep.
plus the Grimnir plus the Aegis evolve. There's too much math in this game, to be honest. If I were to be honest with you guys,
Not
there's too much math. There was the countdowns. Then you had to add 2 plus 4 plus 10.
Just thank everything that we don't have to count roach math every single turn, every single game, okay? Because that could get a little hectic, alright?
That would be really interesting if all the cards were designed to say their damage values in terms of like really sideways methods, where it was like your damage is equal to your play points plus this value minus that. It's like
We're not playing D&D, okay? We're not playing D&D today, alright?
oh no! Wait, hold on.
Uh-oh.
Is my brain hurting? No, he lost. Okay, so he's fine.
Yes, he
okay,
lost,
cool.
yeah.
Whew. Phew.
Yes. We thought he was going to win, but playing
Yeah.
a little too conservatively cost him that game.
Yeah. All right.
And just a little tidbit about last game, about the Grimnir thing. I think Aegis Haven is actually the biggest loser with the Grimnir, not Dragon, because Aegis really needs that 4 damage push. That's kind of how it ends the game most of the time, is Aegis into Grimnir. Without the damage, it's going to be a lot slower to win the games now.
Playing on turn
Right.
9 and then not being able to close it out on turn 10 in the state of the game right now, I think is actually pretty slow.
It is.
Especially
for
when
sure.
you
It
have
is.
things like, for example, Dimensional Shift, which typically if it didn't kill you at turn 8, and it didn't kill you at turn 9, it almost certainly kills you turn 10.
Right. Even if it's playing the slower lists that have the Queen of the Dread Sea, yeah, turn 10, it's gonna happen. It's coming down.
Alright, so for this game, Trickster has pretty much, again, what you want to see in your curve. Has early cards with the Meteor, has the Erd for the Attendant, and he's not playing against Haven now, so no more... Oh
Ooh.
my...
Oh.
I spoke too soon!
Slice of magic. Right as you said that.
There are very
I was gonna
few,
say no banish, but whoops.
There are very few times where people will play Banish. This is not
I
one
like
of those
it.
times.
In a Shadow meta, Price of Magic. Feels good, man.
Do you eat your Soul Eater?
I think so.
I
Soul
think-
Squasher? I think you do Eater. Yeah.
Soul Squasher. Yeah.
He's gonna play Leo first. He might not eat this. Yeah. I was gonna say, like, Cerberus is just always the better play next turn no matter what you get, so.
You always want to draw your cards first, though. Just
That's
in
true.
case.
That's true, in case
Yep.
you get a better play.
Mhm.
It's the little things, Exodium.
Little tiny things. Like, for instance, that last game, Master Mage Levi Demonic Strike first. Oh crap, I drew the second Demonic Strike. I could have ended the game that turn. Little things.
The little things.
So this turn's looking pretty straightforward, Halo Golem.
There's
Gotta
a
clear off
lot
those
of Earth
sigils, draw a
runes.
card.
Yeah, he's pretty clogged up on the Earth Rights. And after he pops this next one, the first one here, the Cauldron, none of them do anything. So he's
Yeah.
pretty clogged.
You should just play the next, which is Cauldron, I think. That's my vote.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
completely
just play
fuck
it
the
and
game.
pass
yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, just completely surrender. Ooh.
What if you
Halo Golem is
accidentally did that? What if you literally just accidentally put the sigil in play and then you locked yourself out of the game? Like, what would that
Earthright
feel
not
like?
take it out? If you play
I'm
an
sure
Earthright
some
card?
players have not done that before. You can't get rid of it. Yeah, there's no way.
There's no way to play a card that gets
Outside
rid
of Calamitous Curse.
I
or
feel like
something.
this is a flaw in the system.
You would have to have a spell that would do it,
right.
which
Vacation,
no one's playing.
Calamitous Curse, something
So.
like that.
Yeah.
Oh man. Alright, so Cerberus gets instituted.
Haven't let loose lately.
Right, and even
I
though
think
she's
this is
just
the
gonna go
worst
in and
we've
kill
seen
herself
Rune
in the
draw
6th
so
floor,
far.
she's still just the better play here.
Yeah, Rune. The last few games we've been watching,
Ooh.
Rune has been amazing.
Oh. Pick him back up a little bit. Got the Master Mage. Feeling good.
Noir is drawing some pretty useful cards here. If he gets that Oz soon, he could be running to the races, actually.
And that price of magic honestly dictated the early pace of this game. This game could have gone wildly out of control for Trickster had that price of magic not showed up.
Especially with him holding that Erd. That Erd could have been explosive.
And now, just the modest plays of probably just Bone Chimera and Attendant this turn, honestly.
It's kind of weak, but you gotta kind of do what you do.
Yep.
Play?
This will set up for a perfect Levi.
He's trying to, I think Trickster's trying to be able to go face with Eekter next turn, but these 1/1s are just, there's no way they live.
Yeah.
Three 1/1s on the board.
Very menacing.
Mm-hmm.
Angelic Barrage,
They
where
are
are
skeletons.
Spooky, indeed.
I miss Angelic Barrage being in the metagame.
I do too, it was a cool card.
A very cool card. Very, very underwhelming and overwhelming if you're on the receiving end of it sometimes. Especially if you're fond of playing Snowman like I am.
Oh, the snowman.
Doesn't actually Levi.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
This gave Trickster a huge opportunity to push a ton of damage.
Yeah, if Trickster wants to, he can just go face really hard.
Playing the Ictor.
Uh-huh.
He's
Ektar
got
play,
the
and then
convenience.
I honestly don't even see a better play. I mean, unless he wants to try to, like, straight up remove all of these sigils and leave the
Yeah,
illusionist
if you
in
wanna
play,
get
but I
rid of all
doubt that's the
sigils.
correct line.
It'll be the entertaining one, though.
Yeah. Would you like to see a trick? Huh?
How many times can you do the trick? Could you imagine as like the illusionist does it more and more, he just gets tired, like it's like, please.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to
You
do
gotta
my
get
show.
you gotta get tired of pulling yourself out of your own hat, right? Like, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Is that how it happens?
I
He
think
pulls
so.
himself out of his own hat.
Yeah.
Trickster also has incentive, I think, actually, to hold on to Eekter at least one more turn, because he could combine Eekter with Coco or Mimi. While
Doesn't go
also,
for
yep,
Ictor.
yeah,
true.
he's creating
I like
more and
that
more
play.
value.
Tear to shreds!
Ooh.
He still pushes a decent amount of damage here by using the Coco, so it's good.
Yeah, still pretty decent. It's gonna die though.
Did you just use the term "deece"?
It's a real term, man. Get used to it. Getting as many shadows as he can this turn.
I tried to think about it in my head a little bit, but I just couldn't. Deece.
It's real, man.
Good. I'm gonna start
Deece.
using that now.
I like when you want to be more impactful, you use decency. You get it all out there.
Yeah. Decency.
Pretty decent.
Oh man, that's good. Okay, so now he commits to the young mage.
It won't be long now.
Yeah,
Sword
unfortunately
here.
for Trickster, Noir can just kill all this stuff and then rip.
I'll live again.
Rip. And then this is a perfect time for Ektar now. Even better setup because the Master Mage Levi has been played.
Round.
Can actually finish off the Illusionist. It's going to be a really good turn.
You play Illusionist, you actually get rid of the Earthright, which means even if they did top deck Master Mage Levi, they couldn't wipe your board on the backswing. But Noir is holding the perfect perfect card for that in Dwarf Alchemist.
Here comes the Ector.
Everyone's favorite 7-drop, yay!
He has all his friends this time. Usually one of them sleeps in. You know, one of them's like, yeah, I know there's a thing happening, but you guys go without me.
There's a
Yeah, I'll
thing
be good.
happening.
Yeah.
Noir gets 2 draws here. And neither are
Ooh.
useful.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
we might see a Dwarf Alchemist Evo'd to try to find another Levi.
Right. That's not that weird, because if he does find that he can't play it this turn, but
Could find
Eh.
a Taboos, right? Taboos gets found off of Dwarf Alchemist? No, it doesn't, because it's an end of turn thing.
No, it does. All Earthright cards. If it has
does?
Earthright in
Okay.
the description, it does. But
That's what I thought.
he would have to use 1 mana to cast that Earth Essence, which means 6 drops aren't castable this turn.
That's true.
However, Evolving Dwarf Alchemist will search for a card and allow you to play the Earth Essence and then play Demonic Strike onto Eater, and then Suicide the Dwarf Falcon, and they're left with 3 on board, so it's not that bad.
Not bad at all. I don't see a better Evo target either. I think you really need to dig for something good here.
Especially when you have on your next turn the ability to both play Cerberus and use Coco Mimi. What was that? 5, 7, 8 plus 4.
Oh yeah, if Noir knew what Trickster had, he would just immediately try to kill Eater, for sure.
Yeah. He's really deciding here. I think maybe the thought is maybe evolving Grimnir because there's no evolve points left. But yeah, okay.
There it goes. Finds another Illusionist. Ugh.
That is not cool.
And he doesn't clear Grimnir, actually. Or, sorry, Eater.
Come gather round.
That's, ooh.
Show me a magic trick.
This could be
crap, I'm
really
dead.
bad. Yeah.
Sorry, there was no magic.
The magic trick is, oh no!
Because he
Could you
also,
imagine?
if Trickster opts to do it, he could just get rid of this Earthright and make sure that Noir doesn't have anything to fall on at all.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very defensive line here. I would have imagined Skullbeast's face into Soul Conversion, but that was not the thought, or into Demon Eater, rather. Now there's not really a good target. I mean, he could play Lyriel, but that will consume a lot of play points. That'll be 4 play points, then he won't be able to do any of the Mimi Coco shenanigans.
I think it's a little bit scary, actually. If Trickster plays a little too conservatively, we could find ourselves in a situation where you get to play point 10, and combined with the Demonic Strike, that's actually getting pretty close to being able to close the game out.
Right?
Right.
I mean, those 2 Illusionists hitting, plus that is already lethal. Like, he has lethal set up already, technically.
I think Trickster at this point is mostly respecting an Oz, since if he floods too hard or goes
the
too
Flame
slow
Rats
here,
could end
Oz
it.
could just draw 5 spells that go face, and that would be insane.
There's the trick. It's really simple. That's the trick.
Okay, going super defensive here.
Wow.
Whoa.
Okay.
Nah, Dwarf Alchemist. Man, Noir is just not drawing
Bricking,
cards.
but if Trickster just keeps playing slow like this, might just play himself out of the game.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna light a fire.
Yeah, for sure. Trickster immediately understands what has to happen now.
Yep.
But if he doesn't clear Grimnir, if anything's left up, Grimnir's just lethal. So
Yep. So he has to clear the board here. Will he get the memo though? You have
lurching into Necro.
He can't not
Into
know to
Eater.
Yeah.
like against Burner,
Yeah.
and you got to clear this.
Yeah.
Yeah, have to for sure.
Come gather round.
Yep. Please destroy it. Do it.
Could actually zombie party the 2/2 to push the most face damage this turn. Which is probably the better line, I think.
Oh my god.
I agree.
For some reason, okay, thank you. For some reason, the longer that turn was taking, the more I was like, wait a minute.
You were just getting anxious. Kaleidoscopic
I s-
glow.
I still think that Noir's in a great spot here. I mean, Trickster still can't win,
Grimnor's huge
and
here.
is now at 2, which is not a healthy life total against Burn Rune.
Yeah.
It's not at all.
Now that, again, a situation where that face damage does matter.
This face damage, yeah, it matters a lot. 100%.
Actually, Grimnor's just lethal by itself here, unless Soul Conversion picks something up.
Yeah, actually, there's no ward in hand or way of killing Grimnir, so.
Slow convert. Oh, he's able
Oh,
to do it.
that
Yep.
wins. It doesn't win, but it stops.
Yeah, yeah.
It could.
Third on
I
set's
mean,
even better, too.
so there's 4 plus 2, 6. If these things, okay, yep, that's gonna close it out if there's no clear.
You can actually bounce that Lyriel off the board, so.
Bounce Lariel.
Ooh.
You're right.
Bounce Lyriel, search for something, anything.
Do it.
Old Levi, not as prim and proper as young Levi would be right now.
Yeah, young Levi would be
Draws
great.
young Levi.
All right, god!
Oh my god.
You have come,
Bricks.
I swear that's like the 4th time the Alchemist has come up.
Right, it's
are.
been like Illusionist,
Goes to look for
Illusionist,
something
Alk,
and finds a
Alk,
robot.
Levi, all the 2-drops.
Old as dirt.
As old as dirt. Is there one more turn here? I think there is.
There might be. There can be Skull
Lurk
Beast into
flips
Soul
attacks
Conversion
base and
before
into Soul
attacks to try to
Conversion.
find lethal.
He finds 1 damage.
Oh god. There it is.
There.
Yeah.
Yep. There it is. Wow. And
What a
so
close game.
Trickster, yeah, Trickster just barely getting away with the 2-0 here against Nor. And Nor came so close. There were so many attempts at card draw that just didn't quite get it.
Realistically, what we just saw is just 2 grinder decks going at it. One of them had access to a ton of card draw, and the other one did not. No Wizardess of Oz or anything like that.
So we find ourselves in a scenario where Trickster will move on against Nor. And so the losers match here is going to be Trickster versus HSK Pancake. And we'll have to see who wins that. Whoever does take that victory will have to wait until the winner's final is done playing. So that's either Spray Quaza or Ban Hacktarox. And then the tournament is in the final stages. So we still have one match here before we go to break, and that's going to be Trickster versus Pancake, based off of what we've seen. Now, Pancake's games, admittedly, were quite one-sided, right? He kind of 2-0'd, got some very good curves on his play there. Meanwhile, Trickster, I feel like the name of the game here has been Runecraft, right? Burn Rune, and there was an instance of D-Shift, but I think that's in the winner's side. Are there any thoughts based on these players remaining? Spray Quaza, Ban Hacktarox, Trickster, HSK Pancake. So far from what you guys have seen, which are the players that you kind of favor the most here, Exodium?
Well, Pancake's got the better batter, so I think he's going to take it. I think that's how that works, right?
Better batter. What about for you, Envy?
I think I've picked up on that a few of the players have a slower playstyle. So if everybody else picks up on that and they get aggressive with the more decks capable of doing so, like Dirt Run, then yeah, it could be flipped on to Pancake and he could just get flipped over and his batter wouldn't matter. But yeah.
Arthur's like, why me? Why am I here today?
I feel like this is going to start a tradition that will not end well for all of us here.
It's good.
We're about to go down a deep, dark path, but Trickster and Pancake are going to be facing off against each other. Will the Pancake get flipped, or will Trickster do whatever the Magic Illusionist does? Something about tricks. We'll have to see. And I think that's actually a really interesting point. Aggressive play seems to be kind of the train of thought that would really help against some of these player personalities that we've seen today.
I think that's the one thing I've seen lacking is players just unable to pick the right point to be offensive, and I think it's coming very close to costing a lot of them their games, and they're squeaking by sometimes, and sometimes they're not squeaking by. And if they just would have played a little bit more aggressively, they could have ended the game.
Also very interesting that in Europe, I think we saw a lot more players comfortable with letting Bloodcraft through, whereas currently we've seen none of Bloodcraft today. North America is not about that life, you know. They're all about saying no to Bloodcraft. And I just think that's kind of interesting because Bloodcraft even wasn't necessarily that successful, you know. If it wasn't because it looked a little inconsistent, didn't draw its options, or it was that the counter decks, for example, the targeted removals from Shadowcraft and whatnot, were actually stopping it in its tracks, or Havencraft being very well set up to fight off the early game presence. It didn't really seem that... There were definitely... Okay, don't get me wrong. There were definitely games where Bloodcraft was styling all over the place, right? But Europe seemed much more willing to toe that line. I wonder where that mentality comes from. How do you guys feel about that?
So I really feel like blood is kind of an intangible thing. Because you expect it to be banned all the time on the West, you might not practice it as much. Meaning that when you play the games, it might look like you're not getting the right draws, or it might not be sequencing correctly, but you might also just not be playing the deck optimally because you haven't practiced with it as much as your other decks. So I think that's like kind of an intangible thing that I would consider as to why we maybe didn't see it be as successful yesterday.
Now, what's
There's
interesting?
also the point of I think I mentioned this yesterday, but like if you don't ban blood and they manage to miss that first player, second player coin flip and end up going second, a lot of decks, especially if they're built to bully blood, can just bully it out of the game completely if it ends up going second. And even if it's ends up going first, sometimes you can just bully it out if you built your deck for it. So
What's interesting is I was somewhat looking at kind of the tournament and how it was playing out. There was one guy, I don't remember what his ID was, but he put a message on Discord. He was like, "Dang, I didn't know people could see my deck. I would have put a trash Bloodcraft deck in there hoping they would ban it." He actually didn't even have the Bloodcraft deck. He just put it there because he thought, "Oh, people were going to see blood and ban it." So the guy got real called out on that one. People do their research. Be very careful. Don't take the bait. Just because it says Bloodcraft, it might not be an actual Bloodcraft deck. So that is the PSA to all you fine gentlemen and ladies out there looking to participate in the Shadowverse Open. Make sure that the decks that you submit are decks that you're willing to stand by and play. So we're about
Do your
to
research.
Yes, do your research. Absolutely. Or get some vials. There's a lot of ways to get vials in the game. One of them is participating in the Shadowverse Open. And if you place in the top 16, you get some vials there, and that might help you build stronger and stronger decks. But right now, we are on the verge of seeing Trickster versus HSK Pancake. And I all of a sudden realize, what does HSK stand for?
It is, I believe, a Korean
I
team.
guess you're looking for a fight.
I don't know what it specifically stands for, though.
Come on.
High school kids.
High school kids. There we go.
Oh my god. I would really appreciate it if somebody in chat or on the Discord let us know where HSK hails from. That would be very good information. And once again, like the Illusionist itself, it seems like Runecraft is just popping up again and again and again.
Yep.
right.
Definitely
This,
not being
this seems like
banned.
the matchup of the day. Just Shadow versus Dirt Rune.
Yep.
And I really feel like, again, like my statement is true. I think that Rune has the advantage. It really just depends on how aggressive they choose to play. Like, the only one, if I remember correctly, that we saw lost was because of the ordering of the spells and not because the deck lacked the firepower.
That is true. That is very true. Got the
Pancake is
wood.
also against one of the players, Trickster, that I was actually referring to there, as far as like the slower plays. I think Trickster should probably get a bit more aggressive if he's able to with his hand.
Yes.
Got the Black Swan.
Swan? Yeah, Swan is a card.
Swan is actually pretty decent against like these multiple illusionist like crazy boards. It will help pop a ton of sigils at the same. I actually haven't seen that interaction yet. A bunch of magic illusionists, bunch of sigils, and just see them all pop at the same time. That'd be fun.
Somewhat therapeutic.
Yeah. No more magic tricks.
Stop.
Go to your home.
Stop now. The Magic Illusionist is that one high school kid that was like, hey, HSK was the one high school kid that was like, check out my magic trick. And like, especially when he doesn't have the Earth Rune there, it's just this really lame trick that you're like, dude, I literally saw you grab the card out of the deck.
He's trying his best, man. Come on.
He's trying
He's
his
a
best.
cheater.
You know what? That's right. We shouldn't step on
He
people's
does
green.
get to slap down 2 of these this turn, though, with double Earthright set up already, so...
That makes the board sticky as
Come gather
glue?
round.
Question mark?
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Come gather round.
All right.
Choose to go
Going
face instead
aggressive.
of clearing there.
Pancake knows how to be aggressive. We definitely have
Yeah,
seen
Pancake
this,
knows
and
how
he
to hit
closes
face.
other games out fairly quickly.
Clearly.
The most aggressive Pancake probably flings oil at you. The most terrifying.
Oh,
Yeah,
and I
that
just
was
got
cool.
word. HSK stands for Hallowed Sky.
Hallowed Sky. There we go.
That sounds like an expansion.
Right. It's New Grimnir, no! Go away!
Yeah.
Psych, we nerfed Grimnir. We released Grimnir, the young version.
Oh
Yeah.
god, don't
yeah,
even.
older Grimnir.
Time-worn Grimnir. When you evolve, it's just like the old Grimnir enhance effect, except all you have to do is evolve him.
Right.
This Trickster is evolving to get rid of an Earth Sigil, essentially, here. which is not terrible since if an illusionist does kill that on the backswing, then our sigils are all gone. So
Yeah, and the Tapu is much weaker for it.
And I think
Tapu
it was
and Master
actually
Mage Levi
a
are much
corrected
weaker for
trade.
it, and Master Mage Levi is like the big. As a shadow player, you really don't want that touching you.
Come gather round.
Yeah. The
There's
board
more of
say
that
it
really
as is,
defensive
though. I
play
think
too.
that
You chose
Trickster
to not
trading the
even
way
not
he
even
is
care,
really good.
just went and killed it.
Mm-hmm.
Just making sure there's no Earthrights, but not getting any face damage in.
This is an interesting scenario where it's like, I actually think that you should continue along your train of thought of being aggressive, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Just do
If you're pancake right now, you just smush.
Just do
That's the
it.
only thought.
You just smush.
I mean,
Yeah,
you've got
Pancake-
Levi plus
Pancake sees
piercing
red
rune
here
this
for
turn.
sure.
Figure out.
I probably would have evoed the Levi because you get more damage that way.
Yep. You got the Crimson
Yeah.
Sorcery to use.
Mm-hmm.
Which
That was
I
a
think
really
is super.
interesting evolve that plays around the Swan, actually, but it can be played this turn, so
Yeah, this
not
feels like a
quite sure.
pretty clunky turn here.
Yep.
I'm thinking maybe a Tentative Knight into Demon Eater Evo, something like that.
If he
Could
wants
also
to
go with the
continue this
Skull Beast
defensive
and a Necro
strategy, he
Assassin.
does have Skull Beast, Necro Assassin evolve the Necro Assassin, but which I think is the play he's going to go for, watching all of these games.
All right, we'll
Yep. Yep.
Envy Bear.
Yep.
One of two.
I mean,
50% today.
okay, it's going to leave him with a 5-3, so
Well,
it does get
yeah.
shot down by a fireball.
Let's make the world.
It's like, do I clear board or I draw some cards? And I think the answer, like Envy guessed, is correct that you must clear board because you're at 8 already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yep.
You've developed nothing, really, so. This one of
Very interested
Swan
to see if
could...
this 1 damage is going to matter from that Evo.
Yeah.
It's potentially more because that Levi didn't even get cast last turn, so there wasn't even an extra unit in play to
Right.
possibly
Right.
push damage this turn.
Right.
Exactly.
That's a very good point.
So Pancake even showing that he can play defensive too, even when he's playing offensively.
Yeah, that's interesting. It certainly wasn't the most aggressive option, right?
Right.
It won't be long now.
He's got a Crimson Sorcery.
It's just like back in the old days.
I imagine, yeah, I was going to say, I imagine Crimson Sorcery just goes face, actually. The Swan is actually playable right now.
Yep.
Probably the only time.
This is the turn.
This is the turn. If you want to play Swan, you got to play it.
Detectable
Yep.
white fowl. The black fowl is wicked.
So at least Trickster with a 6-1 on board. That'll keep pinging Pancake every turn.
Don't let the light blind you.
I'm all tucked
There it is.
So
And Mutagenic
that
is
might
not...
even be scary enough for the bolt, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Feels pretty
It
bad.
looks like it will be, yeah. Drawing Dwarf Alchemist doesn't do anything there.
Trying to think if
Which
there's any
could
scenario
flip
where
this
you let
actually
this
pretty hard,
Odile live
actually.
for a single turn, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think you can afford to.
It does 8 damage phase. But if he
Yeah.
bolts this, and Eekter comes down after, this could actually flip for Trickster in a single turn if he plays Eekter.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we know how well top decks have been going for Rune. Judging by the last game.
Probably be a Magic Illusionist or
What's for the
Dwarf Elf
defensive
right off
play
the top.
again? Eats the rat away.
Interesting. You're only
Now you can't
at-
play the Eekter to flood the board.
So I would 100% Fina Evo, play Goblin Mage, just like flood for Ektar next turn.
Yeah, for sure. You have to. It's the most bodies you can put on board, and it's got the most pressure. Yep, that's what it goes for. Nice.
Perfect.
So what is the likelihood of drawing 4 damage here?
Impossible.
Not high. Yeah, I don't think there is a way. Now there is a way if he would have done that extra damage with the Levi earlier, and then top deck a Demonic Strike. But that's not the case. So now he's in a really tough spot. I think he's just got to play for defense and then
His
try
best
to die.
top deck is Red Heart Ritual onto the Goblin Mage into a Lucky Taboos hitting the 5/6. That's his best play in the deck.
Ooh, spark is
Yep.
Or another mutagenic.
Or another bolt. Another bolt's pretty good.
Yeah, Bolt would be great. Or Wizardess. which we really haven't seen. Like, where are all the Wizardess at?
Yeah, yeah.
Except for that one game that I think Pancake or no, it wasn't Pancake. It was Van Hackrock had, where he just went crazy. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The one game that we disconnected from. Yeah.
Right.
It was so crazy. That's why.
Yeah.
It was so
Lose
crazy.
the boss breaking the studio.
Help!
Please help.
So Piercing Rune onto the 2/2 does put Trickster at 2, and Ichter only cleared his board. Only cleared his board. While pushing, he does pull 10, but this could be Pancake's game.
Mm-hmm.
He just needs damage. Earthrune's got damage.
And this I feel like is why it's so hard for Shadow to win this matchup, because it has to always play catch up versus a deck, and it has no life gain.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's just no way for it to actually come back.
Well, I mean, just really any deck that goes second has to play catch up the whole game for the most part.
Fair.
But yeah,
Fair.
I feel you.
There's no stabilizing point with a card like Sybil or something like that,
Yeah, exactly.
No, not now.
This is just up to
There it
Pancake's
is.
draw. I don't know.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
He's got a lot of outs. At least 10 cards win the game.
Mm.
I don't think that does
That gives Rush, I
anything.
think. That gives Rush, yeah.
Yeah.
It would
Gives
currently
Rush. The
bring
highest
back,
thing that we've seen die so far is a 2-drop?
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
no
two
way to
drops.
clear out both 5 damage cards.
I don't even think there's a way to clear one out.
I mean, Taboo could
You
hit
get
it.
lucky with taboos. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get lucky.
Yeah.
Doesn't the Illusionist give Storm? She doesn't give Storm, does she?
Not Storm, no.
She gives Rush.
These illusions. The black fowl is wicked.
Oh. Swan.
Oh!
We forgot about the Swan.
Swan!
Oh, wait!
It'll heal, right?
Is the Swan the ping on non-evolve?
Oh,
No, it doesn't actually
Doesn't
do
do
anything.
2.
I think on Evolve, so this would be the White Swan. I think on Evolve it would heal.
Oh, yeah, that's
for
the
2.
White Swan.
Right. So
Because
still
he was
wouldn't have put
given
him
the
into
White
a
Swan.
winning
That
position,
was in his
yeah.
graveyard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's actually interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. The Swan is an interesting card, actually. I don't feel like we get to see it all that often, but it's when you play the Black Swan, you give the White Swan, and then vice versa. When you play the White one, you give the Black one. And then it automatically evolves for the player that played it, and then that activates its end of turn effect, which is either healing or damage, based on which it is. But that seemed like a real tough game. So Runecraft actually does take a loss, and would you attribute that loss to the kind of more meek play in the mid game, Exodium?
I think it's just like we saw before. I think Rune just didn't take advantage of the turns that it had, and then fell one play short when it had the play. It had access to the appropriate plays, it just didn't make the appropriate plays.
I wonder if there is that ability for Pancake to kind of collect himself and kind of think about it a little more, and maybe take another crack at Runecraft again. Or maybe he wants to take a break and swap up his decks and try something else for now and get more comfortable with kind of playing a different playstyle, maybe playing at the pace that he's thinking on right now. It's certainly a tough spot now because you're in losers. You are only 1 point away, right?
Pressure's on. Yep.
Yep. And this is real close, right? You really want to squeeze yourself into the top 3, and this is it, right? This is the decider. So far, Runecraft has seen quite a lot of success, but a little bit of failure too. Wizardess of Oz is a card. Let's kind of talk about it. What does that card do for those who are unfamiliar? Envy, if you could walk us through Wizardess of Oz and kind of what its function is in decks so far.
Sure. So she's a 5-mana 4/5 legendary Runecraft card. She evolves into a 6/7. And when you play her, she will draw 5 cards, draw you up to 5 cards into your hand. And then she'll make any spells in your hand. They could be previous or drawn by her. She'll make them all cost 1 if they don't have spell boost. So she'll put things like Demonic Strike, Dance of Death, Mutagenic Bolt, burn spells, basically, at 1, which if you play her at 8 mana, for instance, you draw 3 burn spells, you play them all for 1. And she's pretty strong. Her only drawback is her last words. If she manages to die, on the beginning of your next turn, she will banish all spells from your hand. So, yeah. Kind of have to use the cards she draws. Unless they're minions.
Very strong refill effect. I mean, it helps you finish out the game like we saw. I mean, it has so many sweet effects. It's a great card.
In terms of putting it in the context of a Dirt Rune deck, what are the synergies? Is it really just that aggressive mindset of kind of, okay, this is where I want to kind of close out the game. I need to get these low-cost spells and get that little bit of damage to finish it off. Is that the entirety of the synergy that it provides?
Yeah, pretty much it's all about pushing, right? Like, you empty your hand as fast as possible, you burn your opponent out, you play Wizardess of Oz, and hopefully it finishes the game, or it draws another Wizardess of Oz and just continues the chain. It's kind of like Daria, but a different way of doing it.
My friends.
Very similar to Daria.
It's Bloodcraft, and there's Emeralda.
Oh my goodness, Bloodcraft got through a game.
Yep. I think playing the Illusionist there was a read on Trickster, because he knew Trickster would go face instead of trading.
Yes.
As blood. When he could have red-hotted the 2/2 away, but...
It's an interesting choice not to clear off the damage, but we'll see how that works out.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see how it works out for him.
That's right. That's right.
Oh gosh, Goblin Leader.
That's a card that won't exist anymore.
Well,
it'll
mana
exist, but you probably won't see it anymore.
Yeah, probably won't see it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Generally
Unless you play
speaking, when
Take
you
Two. It's
take
gonna
a
be
card
pretty good
that
Take Two.
is busted on curve, and you change its curve, as we saw with Shadow Reaper, whoops.
Yeah, all of a sudden, just bad now.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
Found you. He's feeling hungry.
I think Pancake is mostly just relieved that wasn't an Alice.
Yes. 100%
He can
relieved
just
that
evolve
Alice did not
Illusionist
get
and
that.
double Piercing Rune to make an Alice next turn pretty weak. So,
Yeah. Also has the option of playing the Dwarf Falc with the Piercing Rune in case he really wants to set up for a Levi or Professor.
true.
You're done for.
Trades effectively.
Also,
right to
Dwarf
that
Falcon is
Grimnir.
just being able to kill something. You're just like,
Yep, feels good.
yep, it's not often.
Can't imagine
Illusionist
Pancake
realistically
will not
could just
value
go
here.
face, but I think you want to get rid of the Goblin. You
I
still
think
respect
so.
the Alice.
When I play against Blood, ooh, no respect for Blood.
Just whatever. Tove was an amazing draw there, actually, because he can combine it with the Angel of the Word. It's not going to do too much as far as the board control goes, though, since it only gains Rush and not Storm. And that Illusionist will just come right back, but...
Still being left with 4 cards on the table is a pretty threatening situation. Seems like Pancake has a lot of cards in hand, so it's likely that he'll find a way to clear most of this up, but sitting at 11 health is not the best.
It's not.
It's not. However, Trickster's hand is basically Razor Claw. Emeralda doesn't do too much if she can't gain Storm, so...
Will OTK something, but how relevant that is will depend on what board is left over for Pancake. And Pancake really has some good options here. I mean, there's a Piercing Rune, there's a Glow for the Tove or the Evolved Goblin. There's an Evolved Grimnir, which will set up a ward.
I'm pretty sure the Glow will probably go onto that Goblin. It's just too much value to pass up.
Right.
And you don't really care if he replays a Goblin, right? So...
I think definitely not the Tove, because there is the chance that it can just gain Rush again, and you're healing it back up to 3.
Yep.
Not drawing before doing that, assuming Glow happens this turn, is interesting.
Can't imagine
Can't
Glow
think of a
not
reason not
happening.
to play it. Yeah.
Might go with the Grimnir Evo into the Goblin.
Come gather round.
I think that's a little bit weaker, though. Yeah, there we
There he
go.
goes. Draws into Levi. Which he could have actually casted and then used the Fireball had he not Piercing Rune the Tove.
It's true.
But, and then Trickster top decks a Goblin. It's so weak.
He's got a bunch of them.
Yeah, Levi's gonna be like, "What up, doe?"
And he actually goes for a more defensive evolve removing the Earthright and the option to taboos slash Master Mage Levi this turn, but it's also going to significantly weaken his face damage he can get. While holding
Might actually
7
not
in hand.
even play Levi here. There's not even a great incentive to. You can just play Witch's Cauldron, draw another card with the Illusionist, and see what's up from there. Play a Levi and Evolve, do whatever.
Yeah, play regular Levi. This is, like, Trickster not using that for face damage was,
Unbelievable.
Scary.
yeah. It may come back to bite him. A third Piercing Rune. That is incredibly powerful.
Yeah, that was great.
I think
This
he
is,
really
like,
wants to
almost as
avoid
terrific.
using it, though, right?
Why?
Because
I
then the
imagine he
Emeralda
would.
comes online.
That's true.
Oh,
I
right,
they
he
do
would-
get to
he
see
would
each
put
other's
them in
deck list, so
inventions.
Emeralda is a known quantity.
Yeah.
And the burn to the face that turn is kind of telling, as a matter of fact. So maybe he doesn't want to use the
Yeah.
Piercing Rune.
It
He
does
did evolve
key off.
defensively, though.
Mhm.
So.
His own as dirt.
It won't be long now.
We'll see. I mean, this is a really ambiguous turn, I feel like, and I think Trickster's draw actually really matters here.
That it does.
It would, yeah. His follow-up to this. Because it's possible if Pancake just puts him in Vengeance and doesn't care. Because he has the Fireball also. He can do 5... Yeah, he can do a lot here.
Yeah.
Let's see. So let's
2,
count it out.
3,
So that puts
5,
Yep, there's
7.
Vengeance.
Yeah.
puts him to 8. Puts him to 5. There's no clear-cut way to win, actually. So putting him in Vengeance here might bite him in the butt.
We'll see. If he plays Emeralda, I still think he's dead.
Oh,
He
actually,
definitely
you're right
plays
because of
Emeralda.
the Witch's Cauldron. Yep.
Yeah, he definitely plays Emeralda.
Okay.
He goes face.
He has to go face. The trade doesn't do anything.
So there's 5
Right.
damage on the table right now. What's the
And
draw?
that's it.
Oh!
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Levi plus Evolved Magic
Yep.
Illusionist. That'll do it.
Yep.
Wow.
Very good.
So it-
Very good reading
It
that
looked
damage.
like Trickster actually, because of the defensive evolve getting rid of the Earthright before, I think he played around Master Mage Levi wiping all of his goblins, but then just kind of decided to go in. And just like, okay, well, I'm gonna try and kill you. You've got it, you've got it.
It's the tentative plays. Like, I feel like both Trickster and Pancake both have this, like, switch on that's like, oh crap, I need to play more defensive. Oh crap, I need to be offensive, instead of just, like,
Yeah.
executing their game plan, right?
Yeah, and that's certainly interesting, that back and forth between the two of these guys. I feel like, for some reason, I feel like they're really evenly matched, even though I don't...
Yeah,
Literally
because
going to
of
use
that,
the
because they're
same
both
words. I
doing
feel
that,
like
yeah.
they're right on par with each other, and these are good games.
Yep.
Yeah. So, we've seen... Now, Trickster has to run the Bloodcraft deck again. And Pancake, I think Shadow was the other deck that he was running. I'll have to think about it. So Bloodcraft has to run up against Shadow. And very classically, certain Shadowcraft decks, I think, have been somewhat constructed to handle blood. Oh no, it's going to be Haven.
okay,
And
Haven.
this is not
Okay.
much better. Right.
Is fighting and
They both play out
Blood's
pretty
first.
much the same. If Blood's on the play, it has a great advantage.
Blood's on the play with Alice. He gets rid of
No,
Alice.
mulling the Alice.
Oh no!
What just happened?
What?
Why?
Trickster had the plays.
He did, and now he's got
And
not
he
the
gets
plays.
completely punished by drawing the 2 highest cost cards in his entire deck. Like,
Yep. This is what happens
was
when you
so-
anger Alice, okay? You send her back, she sends something you don't want home. Big monsters.
Alice turns into a monster.
Yeah. You don't love me, nightmares!
Oh, she's
Oh, okay.
He just got lucky.
Okay.
He drew into the curve anyway. Right.
Alright.
He's got the angel. He's got the Alice. He knew that would happen the whole time. Clearly.
Yes, okay.
All right,
Better
so
than
this
we
is-
are, of course.
This is another situation, right? Go face. Or
You have to, 100%.
my assumption...
As the blood player,
Oh.
you go, oh no.
crystals of snow shimmering.
He's going to force the Snow White to be on 2 and trade,
Mhm.
God's wood.
but
Right, probably
Basically
go for
doing
on the
game
play,
for-
Alice's hand. This is just gonna weaken the Snow White, or the Alice.
Yep.
Sorry.
So I feel like you still trade into the Farrier here because the 2 defense doesn't really matter, and then you play the Grimnir, which Alice will
Well,
still
it will
take care of.
actually. It will, because Feria will kill herself on Grimnir now after the Alice buff.
Oh, Actually, yes. This is a better play. Forget what I just said.
That's a good transition. Got both the options for Sabreur and the Mountaineer.
I drop plan
And
is
this
looking
Trickster
good.
managing to not have pushed any face damage by turn 5.
Yeah. Playing into Snow White doesn't feel like appropriate in the early game.
Definitely. It feels bad. It makes Snow White feel very strong.
Yeah.
When she already is, but, you know, when you play into her. When you give her what she wants. Tribunal is not bad here, but it doesn't really set up anything for the future.
Yeah. I guess you could do double Beast Call here. I don't really like putting the amulets on the same turn.
Beast Call into
Nisha
Noise,
to
Eva,
clear.
is not bad.
Yeah.
Although I think he's
Could
probably
try
going to save the either the Noise or the Tribunal have to be saved for
That's
spawn
right,
points.
noise.
Noise.
Yeah, noise.
I totally forgot about that already. Oh, so
He's
good.
going to pop a Cudgel Evolve
Interesting.
just to
Cudgel.
get Dallas up.
See your weakness.
I like how he screams. He's literally the colon O face.
Let's
Yeah,
play again.
he's Soria.
Yep, easy.
Quench
Goodbye.
Lines up perfectly for Saboir. But again, no face damage has been dealt by either player. They're content to just let the game go on.
Yeah, the further this game goes without any face damage being done, the more Pancake his win percentage goes up. Because that spawn can technically OTK, but not against Tribunal and Themis Decrees. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
Or Noise.
Or
Or,
Noise,
you're right, or Noise.
Or Noise.
which is actually
Pancake holding
really good.
3 answers for 1 spawn is pretty good.
Yeah, and
He's
I
going
don't.
to finally force Trickster to hit him here, which is triple Saboir.
this ache, this thirst. Quench them.
We might see an Evo here. Although going into turn 6, probably not the best turn to Evo for damage.
Right. I think you wouldn't mind forcing Themis on those since you are holding the spawn, but I don't know. I don't think it's the best idea either.
Yeah, I think you kind of force the Themis anyway because there's not really a good way to deal with the Sabreurs.
True.
It's just, like, what are you going to do? Just Evo into them? Like, doesn't feel good.
Yeah. Throw a bird at them.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, that 4 defense is actually. That's kind of a sweet spot pre-evolve for a follower, right? That 4 defense is a little bit tricky. Plus, the Bane means that in terms of card-to-card trading, the 2 damage is pretty irrelevant. It may as well be infinity damage.
Right. Absolutely. I mean,
Saboir's
it gets
a
around
pretty good
everything that
backdrop.
deals 3 right now. The Levi's, the Tin Soldiers of the world, the Banish effects, like everything.
And Themis
There it
does come
is.
down, yeah.
Yep.
That's
Afraid of.
1 answer to spawn gone.
He's still got 2.
Yeah. Could make that heads up play an Emerald to one of these Beast Call areas, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Probably not going to happen.
No.
Because Esmeralda can do that, actually. She does hit amulets. But,
Yes. A little known fact, Emerald is insane. Just doesn't feel as insane because
Quite
you
an
don't
insane
see her that
card,
much
yes.
right now.
Ooh, got another Tribunal. That's pretty
I'm
good.
sure Pancake is not happy to see another Savoir come down.
Right. This might be time to pop that Dogma on one of the Beast Calls to get them active now. To kind of set up for, like, subsequent turns.
He does
He's
it.
got double Tribunal, so he can
Oh.
actually... Bahamut. He can actually transition pretty nicely into killing that Goblin with the bird, and then just Tribunaling the Savoir, never mind. But...
Wants to save them all. Is like, you know what? Spawn will never, ever attack me. Except for next turn if it evolves into one of my guys.
Well, if
so.
it does, he'll die, so...
Right.
Let us conclude.
Looks like the bird... is
Yep.
killing Savoir? Okay.
To be
So he did
afraid of.
end up spending the evolve anyways, which we were debating a little bit. Down to 1 evolve, and Trickster has not spent a dime.
Could literally
He's not
just
been to
over
the
the
evolve
course of
shop
2
yet.
turns just go spawn, Evo, Evo, and just win the game. That's how strong Spawn is.
That's right, yeah. Yep. It's currently 8 damage, so
Just do nothing all game, play a couple Sabreurs to the face, and then draw some spawns.
Never attack them, just completely went
Call
off.
Yeah,
it a
just
hard
never
day's
attack.
work.
Just free damage.
Right.
Pop a
Putting on my
cold
work
one.
boots. Alright, time to go home. Thanks, Spawn.
Sounds good to me.
However, if Trickster does that, you can just play Noise Tribunal. And it's painful.
Noise
It's all
Tribunal.
Daijoubu. It's fine.
Daijoubu. But he could just swing. Just swing.
He could, yeah. He could block the noise by
I
attacking.
would.
Yeah,
I
would
wouldn't
just swing.
sit there against Haven. Oh, Lord.
And he did. So noise will happen.
Give him the noise.
This
Noise
is
Tribunal
perfect.
can happen because
the
the
bird
bird
kills
can
the goblin,
sack
killing
itself.
itself, allowing Tribunal to come down after the noise. And this is going to be noise. It's going to be noise.
This is going to be super noise.
And there it is. Oh my god. Oh my god, it's going out of control. I'm sorry I brought this into this world.
Damn.
It's all your fault.
I'm nerfing Spawn again, only does 3 damage. Who cares?
That feeling when the
cares?
Roland effect was more effective on Havencraft than on Sword.
Yeah, I know, right? Roland is better in a different faction.
No guts. No
Here comes Gruff with no target to really identify the 5 damage effect, but I think for the rush, you're okay.
That is a
with it.
buff Gruff, though. An even buffer
There's a
Gruffer.
buff ground.
Buffer Gruffer.
And Trickster actually could have gotten the buff on Lyriel as well, but he chose not to.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he's saving it
Yeah.
for.
That Lyriel definitely was not going to get an Evo anyways, right? So
Right, and then he
Ooh,
plays it.
Okay,
Okay,
this
yeah. So
probably
it must have just been a
misstepped
sequencing error. Must not have realized in his hand was a Lyriel.
Yeah.
oh,
then. Well, this is easy. This is just tack
This
face.
is actually pretty close to lethal. He's
Yeah.
got... Yeah, he's got 9, 10. You can put him at 5.
oh yeah.
And then also just play Tribunal.
There's also
Okay.
that world where if things happen to get to that point, he can do the Aegis into Bahamut.
Yeah, that actually might be the play too. I mean, you could just trade board play Aegis and then just not care, but that gives your opponent a couple more turns. I kind of like being aggressive here.
Yep. Because Spawn is never going to evolve again. You can be very careful around it. You can dance around it very easily right now.
Okay, so this is looking like he wants to put Aegis in play then.
It's over.
This looks like an Aegis play, yeah. Yep,
Yeah.
it is. Which is technically, still just as safe.
The real
I guess.
battle begins.
Yeah, I mean, Aegis is going to be able to clear the board, then you can clear the board with Bahamut. And I don't think this iteration of the deck has a reach of
Whoa!
10.
Didn't even kill that. It's not gonna matter.
He's
though.
out of vengeance, so
Yeah.
Yep,
Time for fun and games.
just throwing it in. Said can't lose.
and everything is going to get bombed. Oh, GG.
No, this will just
Yep.
be Garuda.
Garuda.
Garuda
Yep.
in.
Well, Garuda was already in his hand anyway.
Yep,
so.
yep, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is. Havencraft will take the win. The dream continues. We killed the curse today, so now Havencraft is winning.
And the batter
It
was,
was pretty
not,
nice.
in fact, better. That was my mistake.
The batter
I'm
is
not a
better.
very good cook, apparently. I don't know the difference between good batter and bad batter.
Pancake just battered Trickster.
That's true. No, we didn't. Opposite way around. Right? No, Pancake did win.
Pancake did win.
Wait.
yeah. It's
See,
super
look, I'm
tough.
making mistakes now. You
Yeah.
know,
I
it's
don't
okay
know.
though. So the
Honestly-
batter is better. I'm a good cook. All right, reaffirm. We're good.
Reaffirm.
He made one of those little drawing things out of a pancake, and it worked. He didn't flip it or anything.
Yeah.
He drew a little picture of Garuda, with his wings, smiley face
Garuda
as
pancake.
well. Yeah. Yeah, that was actually pretty good. I think that match was very indicative of players really kind of thinking about what his opponent had and trying to play out the situation appropriately. And I think the pressure that each put on each other made them double take a lot and really think about,
Yeah.
okay, well, maybe I shouldn't be as aggressive. And I really feel like that kind of exposes a part of Shadowverse that is a little harder kind of identified by a lot of newer players or a little less experienced players of the game, where there is that certain element, especially in tournament play. I think it's more it's easier to view, right, where there's this game that you're playing against your opponent rather than just playing the cards and the numbers. So some thoughts about now that we have some finalists here: Spray Quaza, ban Hacked Rocks, and now Hallowed Sky, Pancake are going to be the final 3 players in the tournament. Exodium and then Envy. Tell me your picks here, and who do you think will be favorites to take the win?
I'm still liking Pancake. I think Pancake, as long as he brushes off his trepidation about just executing his game plan, I think he'll do really well. I think, like you said a little earlier, the nerves are getting to these players a little bit, and it's not just because this might be their first competitive tournament, but it might be the first time they've ever been streamed, so they might just be feeling the nerves. You know what I mean? But I think if he relaxes a little bit, I think Pancake has the right momentum to keep pushing.
What about for you, MV?
Yeah, it's honestly, I think all 3 players are actually pretty even here, and I agree completely. It's not that any of these players could be slow players. It's more so that there's a lot of things stacking up on them, making them, sort of safer in their plays, more reserved, and it's completely understandable for sure, definitely.
All right.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm gonna select Ban Hackdorox just because he had that amazing run that we saw in the winners play, and he's in the winners finals, so he's quite possibly well positioned to be in the grand finals on the winners side, which provides a large boost. But we are going to go to the winners finals right when we come back from a little bit of a break, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the NGE Shadowverse Open Season 2. We're here again, of course. I'm Rainy, your host for the day. And joining us is Envy Bear and Exodium from Shadow Nexus. Exodium, oh, that's right. Exodium, you got a Twitter account at Exodium
I
TV.
do.
Yeah.
That's right. Come check it out. And that's also my Twitch handle. So if you ever want to watch me stream, go ahead and check out the channel.
Exodium TV. Follow us. I don't think I'm following your Twitch. That's really tragic.
That's okay. You know what? You will soon, and we'll all be friends.
That's really tragic. Hey, I'm going to commit Exodium. Go to his Twitter channel. He's going to make one post with an image and a link every day. So, if you follow his Twitter... it's going to be like one letter A and just like a meme picture, and that's all.
Are you my new boss?
That's what's going to happen. Anyways, let's talk about the current tournament that's on our hands right now. Spray, Quaza, and Ban Hackrox, who we saw at the start of the day today, are in winners finals, and they're about to play a best of 3, the winner of which will move on to the grand finals here. Spray, Quaza had 3 decks, Shadowcraft, Bloodcraft, and Dragoncraft, and then Ban Hackrox's 3 decks were Runecraft, Shadowcraft, and Bloodcraft here. So, we've seen one instance of Blood, and it actually just kind of got bossed around by Havencraft here. Do you think that's going to be the case in this scenario where Havencraft doesn't really exist, Exodium?
I think that Blood, again, it's still the strongest deck. I don't think we've seen really good appearances by it, but I don't think that's the fault of the deck. It's a combination of the players' draws, the players' willingness to be offensive, and that seems to be like the theme of the day. Actually, is just players like executing their game plans properly. That's all.
How do you feel about the current kind of state of this tournament, Envy?
I think that Blood has just been getting a little bit unlucky, but that's kind of it can kind of do that. Every deck can kind of do that. But yeah, I think the Blood deck needs to be played rather aggressively, and against Havens, sometimes it's harder to do that. So it'll probably be doing a little bit better.
Well, I think we will just have to wait a moment before we know, and we are jumping into the first match here between these two players. And really the curiosity right now for me is we don't see any Shadow Nexus players unless they're flying without their tags. We don't see any EXG, not any CPV either. There are actually a lot of teams being represented in this final.
No teams.
Yeah.
HSK. That's
HSK, the pancake. The one and only hope for teamed up players in Shadowverse. And that's actually one of the most interesting things about Season 2 of the Shadowverse Open is now we are running on weekends. Saturday is EU, Sunday is North America, and so there's a new pool of players that we're accessing now, and perhaps some of these new players, undiscovered, have been preparing for a long while, and now they're kind of demonstrating their prowess here.
Absolutely. And I think it's great for this type of a tournament series to see new players anyway. Like, I feel a little bad for some of my Shadow Nexus guys not making it, that kind of thing. But I'm really happy for the state of the game, and I'm really happy for the state of the tournament. Seeing a lot more players, seeing new faces, we get to start cheering for new people, find out who they are.
I really wonder how next week is going to go with all the changes. I always feel like every time the first instance of a new kind of scene, it just kind of goes crazy. I mean, I think that in Tempest of the Gods, when the one change came through about 2 months in, the winning deck was discard or OTK Dragon New. I'm pretty sure that was a tournament.
Come on.
It was pretty sick.
I'm not gonna lie.
It's sleeper broken anyway. Come on.
It doesn't have a hard counter.
I think it either took a second place finish or like another first place finish in a JCG quite recently after that, I believe. It got really popular.
It's like a tournament every now and again. If you roll hot with that deck, it actually doesn't have any bad matchups. Its only bad matchup is itself.
That's very appealing. That's true of me in real life. My only bad matchup is myself.
That actually is a good bring up also, because Dragonclaw Pendant used to be used with Grimner, and you can't do that anymore.
Ah.
You can't make Grimner do 8 or 12 or 16 anymore.
Speaking of Dragoncraft, it looks like the deck of choice for Spray Quaza is his Dragoncraft deck against Ban Hackrox running Shadow.
Yeah, and I like to see dragons still in the meta. It's going to change heavily after the changes like you were talking about, because Ouroboros really is the biggest change that deck could have seen, beyond the Zell and the Lightning Blast nerfs that we've already seen. So it'll be interesting to see if Dragon can even compete anymore without Ouroboros getting life.
That's
It will be. I think as long as they still have Sybil, they'll be okay. They can get over it. Since Sybil bridging the deck together is really, I think, honestly, what pushed it over in the first place. But yeah, Ouroboros will be a big deal.
It might again mean that Sahaquil variations will have to come back, whereas right now you see the Conflagration versions because of Israfil being added back to the deck for some extra life gain.
As well as Lucifer, too. Sahaquil with Lucifer, which we actually see in Spray Quaza's hand right now.
Interestingly enough, Tina is one of those cards that I think is least kind of effective against Shadowcraft, just because Shadowcraft actually runs little to no neutral fallers. Maybe Lyriel, maybe a Goblin Mage on Fina. Yeah, Erd.
Yeah, Lyriel, Erd. Yep, Goblin Mage, Fina. Yep, that's about it.
But definitely not running the whole 1, 2, 3, 4 stuff, right? So.
Nope. Not to be seen in Shadow. I know that people have tried at the beginning of this expansion to make that neutral push with Shadow, but it's just not effective. This card draw engine version of Shadow is a lot more effective.
True. Spray Quaza is actually just playing a bad Dragon Warrior in a lot of these matchups. He could have traded differently there and had the same board state, but also had ramped, and chose to put his Sphina at 1 health. I don't know if he's baiting his trade. I don't see anything in his hand that will make that make sense.
Yep. One little quick comment about the Dragon Warrior too. Dragon Warrior is probably what you'd want to be playing right now, but Dragon Summoner doesn't allow for that. Unless you want to be fetching it with Dragon Summoner, where usually you want to be getting the Ayelas, the Sibyls for the ramp.
Yeah. Well, you want relevant cards, realistically, so...
Right.
And Dragon Warrior just sometimes is not relevant.
Going face. I like it.
Yep.
The ramp puts Spray Quaza in an awkward situation where he won't actually get the healing here. He could suicide the Ayala.
Yeah, definitely will suicide the Ayala here to get that much needed 3 health. He's already at 13, so.
The fact that there are 2 more Ayalas in hand as well is a little bit.
He also does trigger Sybil, by the way. Yeah.
Yep.
That was his 5th turn, so. Yeah.
And then we'll get to see good old Ouroboros do what it does best.
Yeah, this is just kind of where Dragon pushes over that advantage and doesn't care what you play, because they can just keep healing to full every turn, making threats.
And this will be the huge turning point, because in the future this won't be the same thing anymore. You can just play an Ektar, clear out Ouroboros, and still do face damage without worrying about healing. But as it stands right now, Ouroboros is the perfect card.
The perfect card.
That's right.
In every faction.
Pretty much.
Could you imagine if Ouroboros was neutral?
No. No, I don't want to see that every single game. Don't do this.
I think most factions would play it, yeah.
Yeah. Ouroboros would be a great endgame for pretty much any deck.
Oh, man.
Hackrox actually opting not to play Lurching Corpse there, even though he could have followed it up with Eater to get more face damage.
It's true.
Maybe he's scared of being wiped for free and not actually trading with anything.
I think Hackrox is probably doing the old I'm not pushing lethal anytime soon, so I need to save my removal for Bahamut's because I gotta play some sort of an end game here.
Exactly. Had a spell come down like Breath or Conflagrate, it would have been really bad, because it would have basically wasted that. But yeah, just like you said, like the Ouroboros undid an attack from one of the skeletons by healing, so he could be 3 lower right now.
And here it comes again.
Yep. And, you know, these Lurching Corpses and these Necro Assassins against Ouroboros just don't feel very good. It's like, yeah, you can clear off the board, but the 3 health back, the 3 damage back to one of your guys.
Yeah.
It's a rough little puzzle to unwind.
It's quite the perplexing situation. I think Hackrox just loses from this point out.
Yep. It really is right now. If you draw Ouroboros in this matchup, I think you just win the game if you're not dead by the time you can play it. And if you don't, you have a really hard time winning. But we've seen every single Dragon match against Shadow today drawing that Ouroboros and playing it on 8. It hasn't, not one misstep.
Yeah. And it's just providing so much value turn after turn after turn.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
This refill, if that Lurching Corpse wasn't out there, could have been even worse.
Yep.
I mean, the situation's not going to get better for Hackterox, right? It's just...
No, definitely.
This is where the roller coaster just never ends.
Realistically, one of the only ways that you can beat the Ouroboros plan is if you draw multiple Cerberus in a row, you don't allow the Ouroboros to die, and then you top deck like a Phantom Howl and then just end the game. But with the current set of circumstances, I don't know if there's any way to get through it.
Conflagration.
Yep.
Ugh.
There goes your removal.
Yeah, this is just Ramp Dragon. Hackterox will probably end up just surrendering.
Yeah.
It's not too
Well,
much.
given the
here.
stakes, I am a huge fan of never giving up. No retreat, no surrender. I don't care what the situation looks like. I'm gonna make you beat me.
I guess that makes sense.
Yep. To the last dying breath, Hackterox will
Although-
flail and fight.
Yeah.
I like the imagery of flail.
Oh, just 2 minions that need something to die.
Yeah.
They need to eat each other. I guess Demon Eater's the better play here. Goes for the draw.
Yep.
Yep. Draw, but what to draw with 4 play points left? Not much.
Oh no.
Soul Squash Revo into the Ouroboros. Feels bad.
They're so fresh.
I mean, you are still at 18 life. Realistically, Ouroboros could just hit you, and you wouldn't care.
Less talk.
There we go. I like this. This is an. Oh, okay. Maybe I don't like it. That's right. I forgot. It couldn't go face. He just played it. Never.
Yeah, I
mind.
can't go face. I like that a lot because
Yeah,
you spread your
yeah,
stats
yeah.
out around. You know, killing Ouroboros is a net negative. So
And again, this is a very key thing to understand. If you're really trying to push against Ouroboros, make sure that you have a board that can't let Ouroboros die.
oh my gosh,
Which will give you the best chance to do something. But yeah, this is.
Oh, Lucifer.
Talk about healing.
And then he's even still gonna clear. He's gonna go to full health and even use the Ouroboros to clear. Just
Yep.
making sure.
Zero
Nothing can
chances.
Yeah.
Yep.
He has the Ector, but he's not actually doing any damage.
Right.
Yeah. Well, he could get 4
All
across
four
this
zombies
turn,
could
but then
play this.
Ouroboros puts him right back up. You know what I mean? It's.
Yep.
So really what Hackterox has got to do is he's like, alright, you know what? I lost a dragon. That's okay. I'm going to come back from this. Ban Hackterox, we saw him play before. He definitely knows what he's doing. I don't think anything about this game had any indication that he, was playing poorly or he's any kind of tilted, especially because he didn't concede immediately. A lot of times you'll notice players go on tilt by their concession, like immediately. At least doing this is one other thing to think about in competitive play. If you play out the game, it allows your nerves some time to unsettle before the next game.
Right.
Or to settle, not
True.
unsettle. Yeah.
Can't keep relying on you to write
This is just Spray Quaza is just kind of showing Hackterox what all is in the deck. He's like, I got these things. I've got some Misperfills. I got some Lucifers.
Meanwhile, Hackterox is getting one card
Check
at a
it out,
time.
dude. Look at this sick deck tech video.
It's like a Dragoncraft unboxing.
Yeah, there's Dragoncraft unboxing and review. So it turns out Ouroboros is pretty good. It's a pretty good card. It's gonna finally set up lethal unless Eater is top decked here. And Spray Quaza will just win.
Bloop.
A Lurching Corpse.
I'm leaving.
Just
Nothing
the
to do
one.
about that.
So Hackterox taps out finally, and Spray Quaza gets one game up. And that's actually, puts Spray Quaza well positioned to move on into the grand finals. But just like Classic and Conquest format, you need to win with both decks, right? So assuming Blood was banned, Spray Quaza now has to go to the Shadowcraft deck. and it's either going to be a Shadow Mirror or what I'm going to assume to be Shadow into Rune. Which
I call the mirror.
Yep.
probably the mirror in my mind. I think the Runecraft deck is a dimensional shift variant. So I think he can kind of deploy that whenever. Because honestly, I feel like Runecraft is more of a game of can I get the options that I need rather than necessarily will my opponent. I mean, you want your opponent to not be as quick as possible, but I think your success is more heavily determined by how your card draw turns out.
Quickly, I'd also like to point out that neither of these players are master level players on the ladder. So for all of you watching out there, don't let it intimidate you that you're not a master level player going into one of these tournaments. Just build your decks, play tests, get it done.
Get her done.
Get her done.
True that.
I think that there's really, I mean, it is actually shockingly different how much ladder play differs from competitive, right? Players play in a different fashion. The preparation is a large part of the gameplay, and kind of understanding the mentality of your opponents in that tournament scenario is super important.
Yep.
Yeah.
And sometimes
the
a
way
lot more
ladder is
important
in
than the 1,000
Shadowverse,
ladder
it's more
games
like
you've played.
it's like an MMO kind of. It's just about the grind. Like you literally you build a deck that can get about a 60% win rate, and you just play it 1,000 times, and that's how you get a high rank in Shadowverse. But a tournament you can't do that. Tournaments you need the win rate. So
I'm gonna tell on you, you beckoned.
Okay. So Spray Quaza taking an early lead here again, being on the play in the mirror matchup, very important.
this is still looking kind of okay for Hacked Rocks. Actually, Spray's hand is kind of cloggy.
Yeah, Dust Breaths that don't really do much just yet.
Also, being able to fit Soul Conversion, squeezing a Soul Conversion on a value minion into your curve. He's gonna play this Bone Chimera next. Is really nice.
Yep.
Really
The ability
nice.
to clean up the 4/4. Oh,
Ooh, actually floats some mana there.
Interesting.
I don't know
Interesting.
why you would zombie party over putting the extra minions in play. Interesting, especially with the Lurching Corpse in play. Now there's just an easy out if there was a Soul Conversion or another Demon Eater to clean up the 4/4.
Right, the 1/1s that came off the Bone Chimera could clog up the options of the Lichen Corpse, but I guess he just values the Evolve over the spell.
Yep. And he had the sick read.
Yeah. Do the same thing.
Sick read.
Sick read, you ain't got no Soul Conversion. Get out of here.
Yeah. So because that corpse is still on the board, Fina is just not a play. You can't do it. Yeah.
Yeah. I like this line. Probably play the Chimera now.
Realistically, Spray's hand is almost too good to lose, though.
At
Since
this
we
point,
get the
right?
Shadow here,
triple Death
Death's
Breath
Breath,
into the
yeah.
Nectar. Yeah.
Triple Breath is really, really good. So,
Just constant board flood. And we saw Ban Hacked Rocks use one of his zombie parties already, so his board flood is down by a card.
yeah, the instant Death's Breath. Yeah, Spray is just all about that 6/9 for 6.
Yeah, plus the ward. And really, in terms of shadow control, each of the zombies count for 1, so you really recoup that cost incredibly quickly.
And the Death Breath card itself recoups itself, so you get 4 back after using 6. So
From
really
6.
good rate.
Yeah, it's a great investment. It's gonna snipe the Lurching Corpse. Oh, never mind. Darn it.
Cute to bit.
That's actually
So setting up for a
probably
big
pretty
thing.
important. Yeah.
Yes.
Fina you'll have to play the Goblin Mage here to clog up the Lurching Corpse's options.
Ooh, sparkly.
Get a Skull Beast one time. Nope.
Never
sergeant.
lucky.
Never lucky.
Oh, there it is.
Aha! We called it, just the wrong side.
Wrong
Alright.
side. Right.
So, no clear way to get these double shadows for Death's Breath, but I guess he doesn't care. He's already ahead enough to where it probably doesn't matter.
Just forcing your opponent to constantly have to clean up the board again and again. That Lurching Corpse has gotten some real damage out.
Okay.
It has, yeah. It's been
Yeah.
going in, and also with Spray Quaza being on the play already, he's already got the board advantage to begin with. He doesn't have to give those zombies ward. You know, he can just set up the board for Eater. 2/2s are almost just as good as 2/3s when you slap Eater down. So,
Yep. Or if there are any left over, they get ward too, and they also get pumped. So.
yep, that's true. Yep. Little less known fact. Yep.
Yeah, the funny thing about Lurching Corpse in a tentative night that you'll see is that sometimes they feel awful because they don't trade into the board, but sometimes they just get evolved and attack for like 20 by themselves because their opponent just is like, I can't ever efficiently deal with this.
Yeah. Ugh, this is like a weird. He's gonna go for it. Yeah, I think the Soul Squasher is a bit better there. You have to. You wanted to probably zombie party.
God, look how fast those whites caught up damage, though.
They did, yeah, they did. I was gonna say killing one of the whites would actually go a really long way here, but ooh, oh no,
God.
oh no.
I don't think he can
That's
realistically
huge.
play that though and live.
Well, we know that there's an Eater in Spray Quaza's hand. He
Right.
doesn't. He sees that value. He's got value in his eyes.
But you play Thane here, you actually can't do anything.
Yeah.
No, if you play Thane, you throw 2 Spar Toys into a 2/3, and you play the White King, and
Okay.
like, yeah, you do die, but your opponent's got 2 cards in their hand. How do you know that? You know?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
value. How do you? Realistically, also, what else does he even do in this turn? Like,
There's
he
no
can
way
zombie
for him
party?
to gain wards.
Yeah,
That's true. I guess Zombie Party White King is the most removal, but then it doesn't really set up anything.
exactly. And that Thane is. He's gonna go for Thane. I'm calling it. Hackdrox can't pass it
Yeah.
up. It's too much value. 4 Spar
That
Toys.
is true. I get. Yeah, you're right. There's not really anything better you can do. You can shave off a little bit more damage with a Zombie Party, but that's about it.
And being at 7, realistically, if he's got the Eater, he's got the Eater. So,
Right.
but he does go for that.
Zombie Party it
that's
is.
gonna end the game on this turn.
Yep.
Yep.
Wow, that Lurching Corpse lived from what, turn 3? Turn 4?
Yep. Lurching
Lurching
Corpse,
Corpse
man.
was,
If you can't deal with it, that thing will keep striking you down.
The MVP Lurching Corpse.
Spray Quaza taking it 2-0.
Yep, 2-0 now. And
Way
that's-
too much damage.
Yeah, that's going to mean that Spray Quaza is in the grand finals, and Ban Hackterox will drop down into losers to fight off against Hollowed Sky Pancake. Now, let's think about that a little bit. Spray Quaza is sitting very comfortably, and as you know, in the grand finals, when you come in on the winner's side, because you haven't lost a single game, that means if the loser beats Spray Quaza once, he'll have to play another best of 3 to see if he can best Spray Quaza a second time, and then will Spray Quaza take second. So, the next match we have is going to be Pancake versus Ban Hackterox, and I know for you guys here, Ban Hackterox, or rather Pancake was your favorite player, and we just saw Ban Hackterox lose to Spray Quaza. I think that might still be the case here. Let's talk a little bit about how you think Pancake has to approach this matchup. Can he be aggressive? Is that still a thing that he can do, or are the deck archetypes just a little bit different, causing the strategies to be a little different here for Pancake?
I honestly think that it's going to be pretty straightforward. I think his decks all pretty much do the same thing, right? Like, it's not like he's differing in his game plans. There's not like all these crazy different interactions and things he has to deal with the different archetypes. So, as long as he can settle himself and, you know, play optimally, I think he's got it. I think his decks are a little bit better slated in the matchups. And I think, yeah, like I said, he just has to settle down a little bit. That's all.
For you, MV, what is something that you would like to see out of Ban Hackterox that will give him an edge over Pancake?
The right ban. I think it really depends on what he goes for. But other than that, yeah, it's just gonna be what happens. The matchups might end up mattering, but they've got to win with 2 anyway. So.
And that's actually a little more important than people realize. I don't think the answer is as easy as just banning out blood, right? Especially when Pancake is running such a strong Rune deck. I think there is
Right.
some consideration based on how you feel more comfortable in terms of the interactions and the lines of play, as well as what you think your deck is better suited against. So, might not be a clean answer, but we are going to jump in and find out what the result is going to be very, very soon. Hallowed Skies Pancake versus Ban Hacktarogs. Week 2 of the North American qualifiers has come down to just these 3 players. One of them faces elimination here and will take third, whereas the other one will at least get second. And then we'll find out who first place is. Yes, at least 3 players to be found for the Invitational here. Out of the top 12, we are going to play a round robin, and we are finding those pieces right now. So, jumping into Pancake versus Ban Hacktarogs. I think that it feels like it's been a very long day. It started out with a lot of Runecraft, but I think as the day has gone on, it's really been a lot about kind of the Shadowcraft matchup. I think is the one consistent deck that has shown up again and again in each of the matchups here.
Yep.
There's the Wizardess.
And this has been the matchup. I think all the players feel like they're comfortable on both sides of this matchup, which is interesting.
Right. Yeah, it is. I think that Burn Rune has the upper hand, but for some reason Shadow players won't ban it. So I guess they disagree.
They just don't want to deal. I mean, like, they just don't care. They're like, you know what? If you can burn me, you can burn me. But technically speaking, Dirt Rune does have this inherent thing where it can brick, right? So maybe they just don't care.
True. Yeah.
They're just like, it'll beat itself. So.
And he actually got rid of Pancake. He mulliganed away one of those like safety net cards, Wizardess of Oz. And if he just never sees that again, then he just never sees it again. So.
Which, after Ban Hacktarogs' comeback, has just never been a thing in this whole tournament. You know.
All right, Wizardess has not shown up. It could be that the players are cutting some number of Wizardess in opting to play things like Illusionist, like we see on the other side of the table, or Professor of Taboos, or more spells. I mean, maybe they're just not playing 3 anymore.
Should be very interesting.
Or we're just incredibly unlucky at seeing.
Yeah, of course.
Given the choice of being able to tutor an option, or to go for more redundancy of certain options, or I say quote-unquote redundancy, because it's actually very hard to find that in Shadowverse, I feel like. Cards are typically somewhat unique, or typically somewhat power creeped, right? There's not a lot of choices. There's not a lot of chances where you would actually see 2 cards and be like, oh, this does about the same thing, so I'll bring both of them, right?
Right. Actually, that's a really good point about Shadowverse as a whole. Like, that's one of the reasons why I love the game, is because all the cards are so varied. Like, every time you look at a card, it's like, this actually does something completely different. There are some similarities, of course, across the play point range, but realistically, very unique.
So, and there's also, cards in the same play point range that technically do the same thing. Like, if they both get rid of a minion, at the end of the day, they both got rid of a minion, right? So, like, doesn't matter how they do it. They can do a backflip if they want to. They can eat an Earth Rune if they want to, but they got rid of a minion. They got rid of a minion.
When you dilute it to its core elements.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of like what Exodia was saying. Sometimes you hit face, If you don't hit face, you don't win. Hit face more, you win. All the cards boil down to, now I can hit face.
Yep. Or I couldn't hit face this turn. Sad face.
Sad face, my face get hit.
That's right.
Pancake opting to go for the Halo Golem, probably evolve over the 1/1 play instead of the Kaleidoscopic Glow into the Magical Illusionist evolve play. Sets up a bigger board, but it's gonna get eaten by a Soul Squasher here.
Yep, sets up for a perfect Soul Squasher. And this is the type of thing that I really like with the Shadows. So, like, if you force your opponent to actually play Serve and Evolve, they don't get to use their Mimi and Coco the same turn, which allows you to, like, kind of orient your turns better. But if Shadow has the opportunity to play Serve on 6, it most of the time always will, because it gets the extra advantage out of the Mimi or the Coco on the same turn. Which actually sets you up for a lot more potent plays.
Pancake could choose to slow roll this turn, cast the Illusionist, bring back the Halo Golem, give it Rush, and just attack the Soul Squasher, or even Lurching Corpse if he wants to, hoping for that ping onto the Halo Golem, but it's not too many better plays.
The only other one that I can see right now is a Kaleidoscope on the Lurching Corpse, and then Illusionist evolve into the Soul Squasher.
I do think that you want to, you don't want to be bouncing Lurching Corpse since it's very easy to put back on the board, and you want to play Master Mage Levi. You want to develop that crushing board wipe against him.
Well, that would be the
he
reason
could be
to
going
bounce the
into
Corpse. So for instance, if the Fina was the play here, the Corpse wouldn't come back into play, and then Master Mage Levi
Right.
wouldn't die immediately.
Yeah,
the only
true. That's true.
consideration.
Yeah. He does know that, 6 mana is a turn where Shadow normally does just swarm, so. And Halo Golem's gone. Illusionist does that, by the way. You don't keep that minion.
Yeah.
But
It's still just a fine Levi board. I mean, you trade your Levi to the corpse, but you also wipe the
But
entire
that's
board,
fine.
so.
Right.
Yeah.
still gaining a lot of value.
Oh, perfect draw.
Yeah, that was really good.
You gonna mess with me?
Get some use out of that Erd, while also not diluting your followers for Demon Eater.
That is crazy. Mutagenic Bolt is a play here. It's not the best, but
Right. This is the time where Mutagenic Bolt can do a lot, but because Rune's behind, very scary to play.
You're almost incentivized
Definitely.
not to take away the flame rats. You just start swinging more face.
Right.
And it's actually very scary, right? Because if you get 3 rats and then Cerberus and Coco Mimi on the rats, you get what? 3. You take 3 damage
Well,
there.
realistically,
So
the rats
3,
are always
6,
going to be
7, 8,
less
7, 11,
than
12. Yeah.
liches and stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage instantly. With the evolve, do you win? If you had played Mutagenic
you
Bolt,
would.
I think you just win.
It won't be long now.
Yeah, if Mutagenic Bolt was played, then he'd actually only have 12 damage, but it would be very close. Like, enough to be like, oh crap, I have to kill all the flame rats now, and I probably just lose.
Yep.
Come gather round.
Still a lot of damage
His
here.
hand's just not very strong, and Hackdrox just has gas. Like, he's got card
Yeah.
draw, he's got card generation. He's even gonna make another Lich here.
Yep. I think this is a pretty easy trade into the Grimnir, unless he really wants to save that for another board wipe, but yeah.
You beckoned.
I think there is a particular value in getting the Cerberus out of your hand and getting the Earth to swing face with the Coco buff. Just while you have board control and can swing face.
Go a little wild.
Yeah, so this is a more interesting play. Like, my turn order this turn probably would have been something like Demon Eatering the Skull Beast into Cerb before I did anything, or just to see what my options were. But he did everything backwards. Didn't end up being punished that much for it.
Yeah, it's pretty good for next turn. Ooh! That's pretty good for this turn.
Heyo!
You can wipe the board and draw a card doing it, having 2 mana left over as well.
The name's Levi. Don't forget.
This must be
Pancake slow rolls the incredible play he drew.
And this is where that kind of thought of like, okay, while you have board control, play out the Cerberus and actually get that value of swinging face, because that situation can turn around so quick. And in doing that, that actually locks down the Mutagenic Bolt option, right? Because then it's too risky to Mutagenic Bolt in certain situations where that would just kill you.
Right.
Right. And that minion draw was absolutely pivotal for Hackdrox. He needed that very badly to draw those cards.
And Soul Squasher not going to be able to get any value here. Pancake smartly not using an Evo there.
I slipped up.
I can't imagine his last evolve goes on to killing this, ooh! Interesting.
Interesting.
Goes on to killing
Yeah.
this illusionist. It's gonna pop Mimi on it, okay.
So I imagine all face now?
It seems like it's about that point in the game. Ooh, that Halo Golem
Yeah.
is gonna...
That actually turns on Halo Golem, yeah. The Iron Scrap Smelter does, while also developing a ward, but drawing first is better.
You can Halo.
Play it out.
Yeah.
Might as well eat the ward, though. Yep.
I almost like Halo Goleming face here. There we go. I like
Yep.
Yeah,
this.
of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah, never Halo Golem a 1/1. Because even if he
Pancake's
eats
like
you on the
acetyl
backdrop,
line.
it's not enough.
Yep. Now Mutagenic Bolt's looking really tasty.
Yep.
For sure.
And really, I think in this particular
Ooh.
matchup, the way that it's played out.
That's bad. That's actually very good for Hactrox. He can clear the board completely for just 6 mana. Just replay his Soul Squasher here. Ugh, that's... Oh no. Okay, so technically, he will have 4 minions if he plays the Squasher. If Pancake draws Demonic Strike.
Mm-hmm. Then does Mutagenic
Yeah,
Demonic.
It's 1 off!
Oh my gosh.
It does kill Soul
on the flip
Squasher.
side, I think you can't play Mutagenic. Oh! He lost. I'm pretty sure the Evolve plus the Coco will definitely be enough damage, right?
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. That's it. He knew that the Coco was still in hand too.
How do you do?
Mm-hmm. How do you do?
How do you do?
And that's definitely the line of thought of like trying to get that damage in early. I think it didn't end up turning around and hurting Hactorox, but I do think in that same vein of playing aggression, there definitely seems to be some, you know, value in playing that aggressive play.
There are just a lot of turns. Like this is, I know it's really hard. Like a lot of people think Shadowverse is like an easier type of game, that kind of thing. Like realistically, if you can figure out ways to deal that 1 or 2 extra damage in the mid game instead of playing completely defensively, it really opens up your end game to have so many more options, right? So it's about finding the little windows that you can and not just playing super defensively, or maybe sometimes playing too offensively and not clearing off a minion because your opponent can get that 1 or 2 extra damage in, right? So it's a tough balance sometimes to think about.
And at the end of the day, those 2 choices are really your base choices for a turn. Do you clear board? Do you do face? And what ultimately is going to get you towards that late game stage where now you're better positioned for the future. Mutagenic Bolt is definitely an option that needs to be respected, but as we just saw, a little bit volatile. Sometimes you take the brunt of the damage, and that's definitely something to be considered. Now, before we move on, I would like to take a moment to remind some people that if they want to get in on the action and play some Shadowverse, shadowverse.nge.io is where you sign up. There's only 1 more week of qualifiers yet. We're nearly wrapped up with this week. And so definitely make sure you get in there and figure out how to sign up and how to participate, as well as what times to watch at. So a few more matches left here in week 2's North American qualifier here. And it looks like Band Hactorox will go first on the Runecraft mirror match. And Band Hactorox is 1 game away from moving to the losers finals to rematch Spray Quaza.
Should be an interesting game. The mirror, I don't think we've seen the mirror yet. So.
Yeah, I don't think we have either.
Ooh! Oz! It's a card!
We finally might get to see it.
Finally
He's
might.
got it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I feel like it doesn't even exist in Bad Hactorox deck. Oh, it does. Of course it does. He played it.
Of course it does.
He did win with it once, yes.
Yeah. It's just so rare.
Pancake's hand is looking pretty good, but Van Hactorox, his hand is looking okay as well. So this will be a good little mirror matchup here.
I think Pancake's got the gas for later, much more than Hactorox does. So.
Yeah, Hactorox is more on curve. Let me draw into things, and Pancake's like, I got all this stuff. I just gotta live a little while here.
Hactorox also has all the cards that Pancake would want. He's got the Piercing Rune, he's got the Levi, another Dwarf Alchemist, because Pancake's the first one able to evolve here. And he's
Okay, if
basically
nothing
gonna
better,
skip
we might
this
see a
turn.
Kaleidoscopic Glow on his own Scrap Iron Smelter here.
Or the Witch's Cauldron, which would mess up the sequencing, stopping rocks from drawing off of it.
That's true. See what he favors more here.
There it is.
Hey! Dance of Death. Playing that for the Oz, obviously. But.
Yeah, would have preferred to actually not draw that, I feel like.
Yeah, not yet. So this will be a while before that Wizardess comes down. You play it next turn, you're like, well, I lose.
Drew 1 card.
And then discarded my hand. Thanks for playing.
Yeah, next turn is pretty lackluster, but so is Dance of Death, probably, so...
Probably, yeah. I almost imagine, yeah, Dwarf Alch, maybe even evolve the Dwarf Alch for more options. Sitting here with all these sigils, but not a lot of ways to break them.
Who's as old as dirt?
Could also evolve Levi. Put that fireball in hand
Not done for.
and just cast it.
It's just like back in the old days.
There it is, the choice to go aggressive. Doesn't take
No.
it.
Keeps it back.
Yeah, I don't
Dwarf
mind the keep
Alchemist was
here,
a
just
great
not a lot of
card.
options, so...
The only loss there is the play point efficiency, right?
Right,
That's
right.
the only
Yeah,
loss.
loaded a mana.
So
I
here,
do think
realistically,
Pancake-
there's just not a play like Dance of Death on the Evolved Levi.
Yeah.
It's really
I
about
think
it.
he wants to play. Okay, I was gonna say I think he wants to evolve this Dwarf Alchemist over the Dwarf Alchemist, see if he can dig into anything else playable. Because if he had also hit a Red Heart Ritual, or wait, no, he only hits real cards. Yeah, he could hit Dwarf Alchemist again.
Right.
Seems to be the popular card to draw these days.
There's actually Wizardess Evolves in both players' hands.
Yeah.
Finally.
But there's
Neither
lots
of them
cards.
going to be played anytime soon,
Yeah.
though.
no, they're way too card clogged right now.
Gotta imagine Levi even no value here is just straight up damage. Let's go.
Yeah, and I like this. You know, it sets up. You have to respond to it, right? Pushing the game forward.
The name's Levi.
Plus, you don't have a lot of things left. You have the Wizardess. You just want to empty and then refill as fast as you can.
Exactly. These Master Mage Levi's could actually, if he draws another one, could create like a little mini Bahamut effect. Where they just
Yeah.
keep killing each other.
Yeah, but it's doing face damage at the same time.
Oh, more like Grimner then, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of feeling like Piercing Rune, Crimson Sork Face, drop as many sigils as I can and pass. Just like empty. Just pure empty.
Yeah, Witch's Cauldron first though, make sure you get that back down there. It's not even a Piercing
Besides
Rune
the
though.
safe
Oh
Piercing
no!
Rune.
Interesting.
And he floats 4 mana with the Oz in hand.
Yeah,
Who's as old
When he could have done it.
interesting.
It won't be long now.
It's just like
I guess he's just not feeling the pressure, man. There's no pressure.
This mirror match is crazy.
Yeah.
A lot of fireballs.
A cool interaction that many people might not know about too is that Piercing Rune gets reduced to 2 after Evo, gets reduced to 1 after Wizardess, but if you evolve the Wizardess, it goes right back up to 2.
Yeah.
That's right. I read about that.
The rune will override the Wizardess.
Yep. Alright, so we thinking maybe Halo Golem here?
Unbelievable.
Halo
little
Golem
bit
face
extra.
into Fireball is amazing setup for Oz lethal next turn. So
Yep.
I
Face, face,
imagine
face,
that.
face.
Yeah,
And this is
face.
literally the benefit of going first here.
Yep,
Unbelievable.
definitely. Can even evolve, yep, to get rid of the Levi. Make sure there's not too many retaliation plays. And there's almost no way this Oz can't find lethal. She has to find 3 damage somehow, which is easy for her.
And there's already a mutagenic bolt in hand, so any units that come into play for Pancake.
Doesn't cast the Fireball again.
Really?
It's not like it's a hidden card. Like, Pancake
Right.
knows he's got it. Unless he
This is
forgot.
not a secret.
But- and, you know, Oz makes it 1 mana, but it's kind of a moot point. It's already 1 mana.
This could end up costing him. I don't know. Like, maybe the 1 extra play point doesn't
3
matter,
and
but
3.
we'll see.
He's got it.
Doesn't
Okay.
matter. Yeah. Didn't
Never
matter.
mind.
What a top deck.
He
This is.
knew. He knew he would get it. Yeah. He just
This-
knew what his next card was.
I feel like this is one of the weirdest mirror matchups to watch.
It is. It's really just people chucking spells at each other until one of them finally
Yeah.
crumbles. It's yeah.
I
I just don't
Pretty
like honestly
crazy.
saving the Fireball when you had 2 like amazing times to cast it against the deck. You're never gonna Fireball a minion. So
I do think that going by Exodium's thinking, it does feel a little bit risky, right? There could be any number of things in hand for Pancake that would have turned that situation around. But Ban Hectorox makes it happen, and so he's going to be 2-0, moving back into the grand finals versus Spray Quaza, and Ban Hectorox is coming from loser's side. So we will see a rematch between Spray and Ban. Ban has to win 2 best of 3s, whereas Spray Quaza just has to win 1. Who will be the eventual victor of week 2 of the North American qualifiers here? There's a few choices. And I feel like we've gotten to this point. Your guys' favorite running horse is now out. Now, for me, I'm just going to say, by way of numbers game, Spray Quaza is well positioned to take it. He's already beat Ban Hectorox once. He's coming from winner's side. It's very hard for me to imagine that 2 times in a row Ban Hectorox is going to be able to beat him in a best of 3. How do you feel, Antonium?
I'd have to agree. I think Spray Quaza has shown us that he knows what he's doing. He hasn't really dropped that many games that we've seen, and especially, like you said, he's already beat Ban Hectorox. Ban Hectorox coming back to beat him twice. Uphill battle, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, for you, Envy?
I always cheer for the underdog, so...
The underdog?
I believe in you.
Going for Ban Hectorox.
Yeah.
What a day of Shadowverse games today. We had Spawn of the Abyss attack the studio. We had some crazy Runecraft games. We had Havencraft beating some people here and there. And I imagine, I guess Havencraft was banned, right? Because Ban Hectorox...
yeah.
No, Pancake was the one with Haven. I can't even remember anymore.
Yeah, I think it was Pancake, yeah.
So many decks.
Yeah. But it must have been banned at this point, and I think you mentioned that the most important thing about this particular matchup is what deck you will ban, right? And the choice isn't quite as simple as just banning blood. I think there's a lot of intricacies between kind of which decks actually come online and how they play, and I do feel like it really did seem in Tempest of the Gods that mid-range Shadow, and I do remember there were particular tournaments where people were trying to let Shadow through, and it just didn't seem all that successful. In tournament play, I just really don't think that's the case for Bloodcraft. At least it hasn't shown me otherwise yet.
Well, realistically, I would say the landscape's a little different in 3-deck 1 bans. So, for instance, it's not just about what you ban, but it's about how you feel like the matchup's going to go. Like, if I ban this, what are they going to play first? And then am I going to get a good matchup 2 times in a row? If I ban this, what are they going to play first? So, like, you have to think about the entire matchup first, and then decide what you're going to ban and then what you're going to play first to give yourself the best shot at playing your best matchups more often, essentially.
Really looking for those ideal matchups here. And as we get the game ready to go, the grand finals here for first or second, 30,000 vials on the line. Is it going to be Spray Quaza or Ban Hectorox? 2 new names, both not tagged up, not on any teams. I wonder if they're going to be scouted out after this tournament. If Richie is going to walk up to them and be like, hey, EXG is a thing. We'll pay you in internet dollars.
I want to say that most of the top tier competitors usually get scouted out. First time, maybe they'll be a little squeamish about joining the team, but, who knows? It really depends on the quality of play.
They all tag up in the end.
That's right.
All right.
Even if it's just coloring on their rooms.
So this is basically the same situation, right? I'm pretty sure it was Shadow versus Spray Quaza's Dragon to start out. And we talked about this. I think we beat the horse dead, and then it healed up and came back and just kept coming back. I think that's the story of Dragoncraft, right?
That is. It's literally draw Ouroboros in this matchup or don't.
Yep.
That's it.
Oh.
Wow, double E. His hand's symmetrical. I love these hands.
Yep. Double leak there.
And realistically, with Spray Quaza playing, he's also playing Unicas, he's got Lucifers, Sibyls, Draconic Fervors. I mean, he could just, outlive needing an Ouroboros.
This is one of the important things I'm talking about. So Ban Hectorox has played against Spray Quaza. This matchup has already happened, and Ban Hectorox has lost this matchup every single time and is still running straight into it. So, this, I think, is one of the huge things that Ban Hectorox can come back from this tournament and just be like, oh, this is something I need to be considering in the future tournaments.
Ban Hectorox should be looking to... Nope. Went halfway through that pun and realized I didn't want to finish it.
That's alright. Sometimes, you know what? Most of the time, puns are pretty bad anyway, so you probably saved yourself.
Yep. Saved myself, you guys, all the precious viewers out there. There's a small piece of everybody's soul that remains intact right now. That could have just been shattered. Yeah, very small, very tiny one.
This is actually a small window where Breath of Salamander is online, but it just creates a lich. So, okay. This will probably just die to Lurching Corpse, but he opts to do it instead. Just play the Sybil down.
I guess he really wants the pump.
A dance to make the
Values the
Well,
ramp.
realistically,
Just
if you
says, I
let
don't
them
care
get the
about how
ledge,
much
the
damage
evolves
you're
and hits you for
about to deal
6.
me.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting play. This doesn't assure that the attendant is gonna die.
ooh, this Sybil's living.
Wait a minute. Yeah, there's no
Sybil
good
lives.
way to clear this.
Your board is full.
Hadrox pushed 1 damage that turn.
This game is already over. There's
Yeah,
like no
it's-
coming back if you allow this to happen.
Okay, so he does choose to let Sybil die.
I
So
think he's
the
just
damage
gonna
will stick,
Oracle.
but it won't matter because Eek
Yeah.
is just useless now.
You're on 10.
Yeah. This
Like,
is
Ector
a
makes the
small
board, but you do
window.
another
If he is
salamander.
proactive
Oh
and
my
plays
gosh.
Ektar here, then it still dies. Never mind.
Yeah, it's salamander, man.
Yeah. Yeah, Breath of Salamander. Well, with
That's
an
a
Evo,
solid
yeah.
7
Oh.
mana turn. And there it is. There's your boy. Ouroboros.
Yeah, with
It's gonna
time to play Poly.
Establish polyphonic first, even.
Oh my god, this is just a back beating. A behind beating right now.
This is-
A back
A
beating.
back beating, yeah. That didn't quite communicate what I wanted to. But
oh god.
Bone
Back breaking
Chimera,
it is. Yes.
the Bone Chimera is trying
This is kind
hard.
of just what Dragon does, though. Like they get to 10 mana and they begin to oppress everything. So,
Yep.
like,
The
imagine if he had
overboard.
Lightning Blast right now. It'd be even worse. For
Got the
Hadrox.
Zeus as well. Oh my god.
Yeah. I can't imagine him not play it safe here and just
Yep.
use
Wipe.
use the breath. Wipe. Yep. Once you have polyphonic roar in play against any deck that's trying to outvalue you, you just you initially get ahead and then you just stay ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, going for easy clears.
There it is.
I can't keep relying on you, Dragon.
Yeah. There was just
Yep, definitely
Shadows
evolve.
board. Yeah.
As long as we've got each other.
I think you definitely feel the fact that Shadow doesn't play Catacomb anymore. Like, Dragon's
Oh,
clears
yeah.
are much more effective.
Yeah. That's very true.
There are certain end games that you could actually eke out before with the Prince Catacomb tomb, like the
Right,
Death
yeah.
Breath into Prince Catacomb play on like turn 9, for instance, or even turn 10. Could set up a board state that was really hard to deal with, and then Ektar the following turn, something like that.